Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
This is amazing. I don't know. You're going to love this story.
Okay.
Hello, Steve.
Hi, Marlo.
How are you?
Mr. Anderson.
My robot mower got lost the other night.
What?
I was doing some trimming of trees and stuff, and the mower was out, and it got caught up in the trees, and I didn't realize it. You know, the bushes that the branches and stuff.
But you trimmed, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know. So it's not as smart as I thought. It's the first time, though, all season that it got.
It's not like you found it down the street.
No.
Mowing the neighbor's yard.
No. I suppose I need to be careful now because it could snow at any time. So it might be out there mowing when it's got snow on the ground. But
a couple flakes aren't going to hurt anything.
I don't think so.
Don't forget to turn that off, though.
Correct.
Because it's not a yarbo. It can't remove snow.
That's not. I did send an email to them, by the way.
Did you?
Yes. We're going to work on that.
All right.
Yes.
Just want somebody to take the garbage out.
That's right. We have to, if we're going to talk about it all the time, we should at least have a unit that we can talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about something.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so you remember when I was at CES earlier this year, and I talked to this firm that was able to use photos to diagnose health issues with your pets. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I'm
a big pet lover, so it caught my ear.
Yeah, so how it works is you take a photo of your dog. I'm just going to pick on your dog, right? And then a week later, you take another photo of your dog, and you continue to do this. Every week at about the same time, you take a photo of your dog.
I actually have those with our puppies.
Oh.
Every week.
Okay. Well, I suppose that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And through a database and through AI, and then I'll go a little further. Something happens with your dog. You go to the vet, the vet says, hey, your dog has blah, blah, blah. You record that down, okay? And through crowdsourcing and artificial intelligence, it starts to use this information to determine, let's say your dog's left eye starts to droop a little bit. And you don't notice this because you see your dog every day and you're just, it's just part of whatever. Well, the AI looks at that and says, hey, other dogs have the same issue, and because of this, it might have this, this, and this, right? And that's what's going on just simply by looking at facial features of your pets. So then I asked the person who's developing this, I said, are we going to be able to use this with people someday in the future? And that's what I'm about ready to talk about.
And I'm guessing the answer is absolutely.
It's a little variant of this, but on the same track. This is amazing. There are researchers that have determined that they can discover type 2 diabetes in people with speech patterns.
Speech patterns?
You go through a 10-minute script. You read this script.
They sell seashores by the seashore?
Whatever it is, right?
Seashores.
And by the end of this 10-minute script, it'll tell you if you have type 2 diabetes or not.
Just from language patterns.
Is that incredible or what?
Wow.
So the artificial intelligence listens to how you are saying whatever you're saying, and because of how you say it, it is determined that just through speech patterns.
Now, you'd have to have a baseline, I'm assuming.
They already have it.
Of the individual?
No. So there are commonalities between people who have type 2 diabetes and people who do not in these speech patterns, and that's what they pick out.
Oh, okay.
So they already have kind of
it's not a variation in your own pattern.
No,
it's just in.
It's not like you have to do this It's not like you have to do this every week, like the photo thing. They already have a baseline that they've determined, and they understand that because you say things a certain way or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I do not know how this works, with the exception of that if I have type 2 diabetes, maybe my voice tone is a little different. It picks up on something.
So, and it's not subject to accents or vernacular or...
I'm not saying it's 100% right, and I'm sure, but what I find interesting about this is that the diagnosis of things that are wrong with us in the future is going to be really different than just going to the doctor and going through a multiple of tests. They're going to be able to determine, I mean, AI can look at you and or listen to you, obviously. I never even thought about the fact that maybe the way we talk could be a way to diagnose things. I've always thought that if we just took pictures of ourselves every day or every week or whatever, it could tell differences, or by just taking a picture of you and understanding who you are a little bit, that it could say, hey, you might have some type of cancer going on or something like that, right? Now it's about voice too, and I just find that fascinating. I really do.
People do talk a little differently before their third cup of coffee in the morning.
That is true. And I'm on 8 right now.
Well, if you think about it, though, if you're looking at a condition like diabetes and, there's fluctuations in your blood sugar levels, which impact brain function and language, all kinds of different bodily functions.
Right.
So I can see where you could probably have some indicators from that.
I just think we're going to get into some things a little bit later that are not so great with AI and robots.
Did you catch Bill Maher earlier this month?
No.
On HBO? So
I love and hate him,
Yeah, I know. Everybody loves and hates him.
I loved him earlier, and he's an intelligent guy, but
tends to be political.
Yeah.
I mean, I not quite, but he's probably a little closer to our generation's George Carlin.
Sure.
Okay, and there's a little love-hate, and leave the politics out, and you probably like him.
Yeah, exactly.
But he tends to be polarizing. He had an AI expert on, scientist, one of the original, and the comment was, the human race really screwed up, and if the government doesn't get their hands on this and clamp it down, we're all doomed. According to the scientist, the two things that should not have been given to AI, do you know what those are?
I have no clue.
The ability to write code and the internet. AI is a wonderful tool except for those two things. And according to this scientist, the genie's out of the bottle now. And you're not putting it back.
Well, it does write code.
It does.
It has all kinds of access to the internet.
Yep.
Interesting.
It's kind of like remember the Bruce Willis movie? What was the name of that one? Fifth Element.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember when she was scanning through the history of the human race?
Right.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I see AI ingesting information off the internet. It's kind of similar to me.
Well, I hope that it's always for good. But, yeah.
One can hope.
Yeah. But I love this story.
Just saying it. The two things you shouldn't have given AI.
I just think that the health ramifications of artificial intelligence are yet to even hardly be discovered. And
we've talked about the health implications on the ability to treat disease and
just early detection.
Early detection, which is key in treating disease.
I mean, there's a significant effort underway to tell you you're going to have a heart attack within weeks before you have a heart attack, and that you should go to the doctor now to prevent this from happening. And there's been significant progress in that. There's a device called Scanadu. It looks like a tricorder from Star Trek, and that's exactly every time that's exactly that is exactly how I remember the name of that device. Is
really
song Xanadu. I am not exaggerating. Otherwise, I'd never remember it, but I remember the song Xanadu, so
stuck in your head.
Stuck in my head.
Yeah, and it looks like a tricorder.
It does.
And think about you and I have had the conversation about robotics before and how small the robotics have gotten and what that's done in the medical field. But now coupling AI with the robotics.
Yeah.
And remember the movie Fantastic Voyage?
Movie.
Oh, yeah. Tell me they don't come to fruition.
I haven't seen Fantastic Voyage.
Really? The original black and white? I think it was black and white. Yeah, where they shrunk down the little submarine of scientists to go fix, like, the president had something wrong in his heart and they had to go fix it, and the only way they could do it was shrink down this little submarine so that they could go. Well, nanobots actually exist now, so is it that far-fetched?
No, in other procedures now that are emerging.
Yeah, smaller than a grain of rice. Here, go fix something.
Fix it, yep. And even just the role of a doctor in the future, I think, is going to be more about supervising than anything else. Just overseeing how the operation is going, because the robot and artificial intelligence are...
Okay, those aren't doctors, those are technicians.
But I think you still have to have an understanding, don't you, of what... I mean, if something does go wrong...
Well, look what's going on in this country right now. They're saying in, not the distant future, I forget what the date was, but in a couple of years, 40,000 doctors were going to be short. So what do you do when you're faced with a shortage or a critical, a crisis situation?
Technology is what's going to fill the gap.
Technology. It's okay. So
teachers.
Now you've got one doctor with oversight and a whole bunch of technicians.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's exactly where this is going. I look at the classroom. I mean, how many teachers are we short right now in this country? It's a significant problem. And I guarantee you that within 2 to 5 years, you'll have AI teaching some of these classrooms because they don't know how else to basically teach our kids.
Yeah, but will AI know how to swing a ruler?
That's the thing. You don't have to anymore, right? Just saying.
Discipline.
You and I... Yeah, but discipline in a classroom is so different now than what it was when you and I...
Well, my wife's a teacher, and frankly, the biggest problem with teaching is teachers don't get to teach anymore.
Right. They have all these other things that they have to do instead.
Yeah, they're not educators, right? They're babysitters.
Yeah, exactly right. So, AI would be fine with that.
Welcome back to the Tech Ranch. Let's get back to discovering the latest in technology with the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So you're going to love this.
Of course I am.
Are you a Netflix subscriber?
My wife is.
Okay. You're not?
Because all of her teacher friends had to watch Orange is the New Black.
Oh, back in the day.
Back in the day. That's why she subscribed to Netflix. We never finished the series.
Okay. So Netflix they had an effort to limit password sharing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why your wife is and you're not anymore, right?
No. It's per household. So
yeah, there was a time.
We never meant that.
There was a time, and I mean, I will say that maybe I did a little bit of this, and a lot of people who have like 2 households or whatever, that seems to make sense to me. Like, you have a lake cabin,
right,
or
people that snowbird,
right, exactly. You have your account that you can move back and forth, and they've really limited that now. My mom, I just shared my stuff with my mom, who, I'm not saying I was breaking any rules, but I would be there often, right? So why not? I would just, we'd watch a movie together or whatever, and that was that. But they've really limited that now. You can add another household for X amount of dollars. But because they did this, they've had, I'm just reading from my cheat sheet here, the streaming giant added 8.8 million subscribers in the third quarter with customer growth in every region. So because they limited password usage or sharing, they added 8.8 million new subscribers.
See, they had to be careful about that, though, because in its infancy, and they probably were at fault the way they rolled things out initially. Because
they were probably too generous.
They were too generous.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And so from a business model perspective, hey, here's the place. So then they had to wait because they would have liked to have clamped down on the password sharing earlier.
Oh, yes.
But you had to wait until you got to a certain level of, okay, we got them all hooked now. We have enough content. We have enough products so that people don't want to lose us.
And They're pricing, right? Right now it's $9.99 a month. If you
For the basic.
Right. So if you're going to, and I think it's like, $22 a month for premium?
Yeah.
I'm looking right here. Cost of premium is $22.99. So yeah, that would be interesting that you have to get to a critical mass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, then you're like, all right, I've been able to take advantage of this password sharing thing for 3 years, 5 years or whatever. I've just gotten a great deal. Now I'm going to just pony up and pay.
But you've gotten used to the product.
Yeah.
Too. So you don't want to let the product go.
And you think for $10 more a month, what's the big deal here, right? So this happens, and now they're going to. So Netflix now, their basic plan is going to go from $9.99 to $11.99 a month. So they just added 8.8 million new subscribers, and now they're going to up the price. I think it's hilarious. Most companies wouldn't do that, right?
So they're going to be at about $18 million extra money. Big deal.
Every month.
Every month.
Extra on top of what they already are getting, but
they already
$8 million a month.
I guess $18 million.
Yeah. They're also dropping. They're going from $17 billion a year in new content, and they're dropping that down to $13 billion a year now. So I'm not sure why the decrease in the new content creation.
Yeah, but nothing goes out anymore on, and I mean nothing goes out anymore on the theaters. Hey, we're going to release this blockbuster movie, and by the way, tonight you can catch it on so and such streaming service.
But Prime is probably the one that you catch that mostly on. Netflix.
It's getting there, yeah.
Netflix doesn't have any direct to.
Well, great example. So, do you watch Thursday Night Football?
No. But I know it's on Prime.
Yeah. My wife has Prime.
Yeah.
It's not convenient and easy anymore to just be there. And we have Prime, but I don't watch a game. I watch Vikes were playing maybe. She's a Broncos fan. If the Broncos were playing maybe, but it's the extra effort of, I got to pull this up and no.
I have to admit that I'm not sure if I miss it or not. I don't watch not even close to the amount of sports I used to on television. It's not even close.
Well, there's something to be said about too much content available. So if you're looking at sporting events, are they special if there's all kinds of sports everywhere at any time?
Well, the thing that they sell you on is the fact that it's going on now. And if you don't watch it now, you're going to hear what the score is later, and that ruins the ability to watch the game, which is, I can understand that.
Okay, so I can stream the Vikings game and go pheasant hunt in the morning.
Right.
And if it's a 12 o'clock game, then I got to be home. Oh, wait a minute, I could stream it. So I'll just watch it at 2 o'clock when I get home and get my stuff put away, and I'll just pull the game up then.
I wonder if the viewership has actually overall has gone down for sporting events. I don't know, outside of maybe like the Super Bowl.
Depends on the sport. NFL's king. When you're looking at sports, NFL is king.
This is what I miss, though.
But all these different platforms, I'm not sure. Like, so a couple of weeks ago, I was working in the garage. I was going to watch a football game. Hey, because I'm more of I got my teams, but whatever's on, I'll watch because it's on. It's convenient for me to watch. I'm not going to go stream. I'm going to go work in the garage and put something on and find something to stream. No, what's on TV? And I actually turned it on and there was rugby on. It was Fiji versus England. And I watched it for a couple minutes because I got friends that have played rugby, and it's a tough sport. Those folks are tough. And then I flipped over the football game. I'm like, wow, what a bunch of sissies. Every one of the rugby players bleeding from the nose, lips, and it's like their uniforms are all bloody. And they do the same thing the football guys do, but without pads.
Right.
It was like, okay, just side note there, but it was like, wow. But we're trained. We're trained to hit a benchmark. Oh, games at noon. Oh, games at 3:15 or 3:30. Oh, Sunday night football, Monday night football, Thursday night football, and I'm a fan to the extent that, what's the game on? Okay, well, it's Sunday night. I got to watch a football game. It doesn't matter what the game is, but I got to watch a football game, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the thing that I probably miss the most about is the lack of ability to browse.
Yeah.
The game you're watching is a blowout.
Commercial, flip.
Well, there's that.
My wife hates that. I'm that guy.
But if the game's a blowout and they're flashing in the side that, this other game is close, it's 14-12 with 8 minutes left to go in a football game or whatever, and you're like, and this one's 60-5. That's probably not a great football score, but you know what I mean, right? So then you'll flip over to watch the other game instead of turning off the TV and walking away from it. Now you don't really have that ability to browse as easy. So as a result, I think more people just walk away from the game if it's not.
Well, that's NFL Red Zone. That's kind of the concept behind that is it's going to hit all the games. It's just the highlights of the game. So it's like watching Sports Center, but on steroids.
Right.
But in live time.
Yeah.
So that's why there was a really big boom in the ability to, hey, I can catch all the highlights, all the scores. A lot of it was because of fantasy football and gambling.
Which is probably more relevant today than ever.
More so, yeah. Now,
that drives a lot of viewership.
Think about it this way. When is the NFL going to get to be like the last Boy Scout because it's all about the gaming rather than the game?
Yeah, it's getting close already.
It's the gambling side of stuff.
That's exactly right. Well, that's interesting. And you're right. I never thought about the fantasy football thing, all because of the internet, which has really driven a lot of that. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
And we're back. Minute of the Tech Ranch as we explore the cutting edge of tech with Marlo and Steve. For more exclusive content, visit thetechranch.com.
You are going to like this topic.
I am.
Of course.
Like most topics.
Yeah, but you're really going to like this one.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Marines test fire robot dog armed with rocket launcher.
Ooh. I really like this one.
You've seen the robot dogs, right?
Right.
The four-legged quadra, whatever they call themselves.
Yeah. Actually, I like the ones that Poppy had in Kingsman. Golden Circle.
Yes.
Those were cool.
Yeah.
Those were robot dogs.
They actually had a
very military looking.
I think for about a week on patrol in New York City.
Really?
And then people were complaining about how weird it was. So they took them off the streets. But they actually had them patrolling for a short period of time. And as people get used to them, probably see more of them. But they're kind of cool. I played around with a couple of them over the last couple of years. There's one that actually, they have some AI built into them. They're not self-aware. I hope not. But they have sensors in them so they can walk around and not bump into people and act canine-like, I guess you could say. But they also have ones that have remote controls on them. And it takes a while to get used to, they'll stand up on their hind legs. You can have them chase after people or whatever if you're...
Elton John is not a friend.
That's right. I have no idea where that's from.
Well, that's from the movie.
What movie are you talking about?
The Kingsman.
Oh.
And the Golden Circle. And the big robot dogs that were like mean and they didn't have rocket launchers, yo. That's kind of cool.
See, the difference between you and I when we watch movies, I lay back, I got a tub of popcorn, and I'm asleep in 8 minutes.
Oh, what the?
And I wake up and popcorn's everywhere and whatever. You, on the other hand, I feel like you think every movie's a documentary.
Well, the sci-fi movies are.
If it hasn't happened, yes, I was going to say, if it hasn't happened, it will happen. So as a result, I need to pay attention to this because I'm learning something from this.
Chicken and the egg.
I just watch them for pure entertainment, and so I don't take time to. I don't even know who most of the actors are.
I critically watch movies.
There was a time I did.
Yeah.
And my ranking system was every movie was worth watching, and I'd go watch, if it was okay, I'd watch it 2 times at the theater. If it was really good, I might watch it 3 or 4 times, Now I can't tell the last time I went to a theater. I just don't.
That's a great question. And I don't even, without the theater and the theater experience, it's really hard to differentiate a new movie or a movie that's just been out for a little bit, right? And I've kind of checked out of, I got to go see this. No.
I've checked
because
out
there's no going to see anything.
Right. You got out of the habit of going.
Well, and my wife was like, why don't we just watch it at home? Because by the time we get done paying for the 2 tickets, it's cheaper to rent it at home.
Even if it's a new release.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that because the differentiation between pay-per-view, because it used to be your cable provider you could rent movies. And they were like second cut. So after they were in the theater for a month or so, then kind of set up like the pay subscriptions like Cinemax or HBO or Showtime, kind of like that, where, okay, after they've been in the theaters for a little bit and had that run, then you can watch them on this subscription.
Right.
And then we went to, okay, well, the cable companies figured out that people will rent those movies, and then we've gone to the streaming side of stuff, and now things come out at the same time to streaming as they do in the theaters. Theaters are irrelevant. Although I do know people that will watch that movie at home, but they go to the theater and buy their popcorn and bring it home.
Yeah, there's
because you can't
going on.
You can't replicate that.
And there has been a little bit of a pushback the other way now. I think Maverick, the movie Maverick. Tom Cruise.
Some things have to be seen on a big screen.
I think.
And immersion.
Tom Cruise in that movie literally took COVID and put it on its side and said, all right, it's time to come back to the theater now. And that was a great experience. And I actually went and seen that movie a couple times in the theater because it was just, I thought, a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, but how long before people get used to not going to the theater at all?
I think already are used to
right, especially younger people, because for us and our generation, it was about the experience in the theater.
Right.
The room shook. And
you couldn't emulate it.
Larger than life. No, and now, other than the screen size, you can emulate most of it at home with surround. You can get the room to shake.
Yeah.
And I remember when the original Top Gun came out, and I watched it on a TV the first time, and then I went to a theater and watched it and went, whoa, that's an entirely different movie. It was kind of like if you read the book and then go to a movie, bad idea. Go to the movie first, then read the book, and you go, whoa, there's so much more to that.
Well, and it's like watching the movie Avatar and not seeing it in 3D. It's 2 different movies.
Really?
If you watched Avatar, the first one when it came out in 3D, and which I did, and then I watched it on television a couple years later in just regular whatever, I'm like, this doesn't even have even close to the same impact as what that movie did in 3D. Yeah. So there are movies that are even designed so that they're better in that particular technology. But getting back.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
Oh, my goodness.
Rule the world.
Robot dogs. Marine test fire robot dog armed with rocket launcher.
How about robot squirrels?
A rocket launcher toting robot dog could give Marines a valuable new way to remotely attack armored vehicles, especially in urban areas.
Is that like sharks with little laser beams on their head? I need sharks with little laser beams. Maybe the robot dogs don't have little laser beams.
I'm just reading this from an article. Joseph Trevetik, I believe is how you pronounce his name, and from Frantic Goat. The U.S. Marine Corps recently tested a robot dog toting a training version of the M72 infantry anti-armor rocket launcher. This is the latest example of growing interest in the U.S. and foreign military forces. I should have had that cotton candy.
Was it the cotton candy?
I noticed that my lips are sticking together.
Was it the pickle cotton candy or the jalapeno cotton candy?
You had the jalapeno one. That was good.
That one caught me a little off guard. That was like,
did you chase it with the IPA craft beer cotton candy?
No, I did not.
You shouldn't. See, that was the mistake. If you're gonna eat jalapeno cotton candy, you need to be chasing it with the IPA.
I chased it with the dill pickle cotton candy.
Okay. By the way, these are all true flavors.
Yeah.
That we're testing here. Well, at National Day Count.
I like the pina colada and the root beer. The dreamsicle was pretty good too.
We really are like a couple squirrels on 80.
I'm
telling you.
I haven't had my Cheetos yet today.
Russian armed forces and the idea of arming four-legged uncrewed ground systems. In fact, the Marine design looks to be based on a similar, if not identical, Chinese-made commercial off-the-shelf robot that has emerged in anti-armor rocket launchers and submachine gun armed configurations in Russia in the past. Wow. So,
have you ever noticed Astro and Scooby-Doo sound a lot alike?
They do sound a lot alike. And now you want to put a rocket launcher on Astro out front here, I'm sure.
I do.
We should get one of those little ones with the neon.
Well, I asked him if he was a robot dog, and he didn't get it.
He just didn't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think
Speaking of which, did you get your large Astro on the way yet?
I need to do that.
Yeah, you do. I keep
forgetting about that, actually.
I know you do.
He was so kind and said that he was going to send us one when we're ready for it.
Well, you need to bring one to CES.
And that's the thing. CES.
Your personal assistant.
Away.
Well, you said you needed a new cameraman. Train it to be your cameraman.
Wow. Well, I'd be the talk of the show, right?
You think?
You see that robot camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might get in trouble with the union, but...
CES has now been shut down because there's a strike going on out front with
no more union cameramen.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So, yeah, this is interesting to me. War has changed forever, like it always does. Do you think in the future that war will be like drone wars on Star Wars? Whoever has the most massive drone army will win? It always is about the technology, isn't it?
Yeah. I was thinking, remember that Star Trek episode? And this is actually where I think they came up with the grape guy from Fruit of the Loom commercials. Well, no, they were purple and they had these round things on their head. It looked like a bunch of grapes. No, it was the planet that was overcrowded, and they kidnapped Captain Kirk because they needed him to incubate something like human viruses, because this planet was overcrowded because they didn't have any disease, any sickness, anything.
Right.
So they needed him to kind of infect the planet with just the common cold or whatever it was. That. And then there was another one going back to the war stuff where they were fighting the Klingons, and they got stuck in this casualty event when they beamed in because they were attacked, and everything was on computers. So there were no actual bombs. It was, casualties.
And remember this.
And they were just pulling out,
right.
Okay, you have to go to this disintegrator chamber because you were a casualty from this attack.
Right. But there was no
attack. So it was, because it was a neighboring planet they were warring with. It was like, but there's no war.
And you want me to give up my life now?
Yeah, but there's no war. Well, that's how we prevent war. But there's no war. Is that what it's going to be?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just like, okay.
It is interesting that we now are starting to deploy robots to do some of our work in war. And I just look at the current, state of affairs across the world, and these things are starting to get deployed now. So I don't know what to think.
Well, you take a look at what's going on over in Ukraine and Russia right now, and that conflict has been slated as it's a drone war and an Instagram war.
Yeah.
It's fought on social media and with drones.
That's correct. And I remember talking to the one programmer, and maybe you remember this too, eFarm, right?
Yes.
And she had developed this, basically how to take your old tractor and make it so it's kind of new again.
Green Acres is the place, dude.
Where you could use GPS technology and whatever on these things. And in the same conversation, she's now using the technology that they have developed to demine, farm fields and things like that. I mean, that's
well, and if you look at mines, which have been supposedly outlawed, that's the one thing after war that continues on,
Right.
and way more civilian casualties than wartime casualties.
Yep.
And that's the problem with mines. So devising a methodology to get rid of those, is that fascinating. Again, technology, because technology in a war scenario is supposed to be about how do you prevent a human from being injured.
Right.
So it's kind of like bomb squads, the bomb dismantling robots, the ability to not have a guy go in there to get rid of a bomb.
Yep. Yeah, it's all fascinating, and it is just amazing to me. I wonder how much AI is being utilized right now in some of the wars that are going on, because that would be interesting to me as well, to see if artificial intelligence is playing a role, other than just, being used to maybe zero in on where a missile goes and that type of thing. So I think those things are just fascinating to me. So the robot dog, I'm reading on a few other things here. Pictures and videos that the Marine Corps has released, seen earlier in this story, show that an underlying robot is a Chinese-made Unitree Go 1. So the Chinese already are already making these and deploying them. Oh, this is interesting. Unitree's website offers the baseline Go 1 Air for $2,700. And the Go 1 Pro, which it says has more capable sensors that it uses for general movement and object recognition, for $3,500. Seriously?
Wow, that's cheap.
$3,500.
The military pays that much for a toilet seat.
Are you serious?
I think you need to replace Astro with a robot dog.
I'm not going to bring a robot dog in here with a rocket launcher. Are you kidding?
Put a little laser beam on its head. Little laser beam.
How is that possible that they can be selling these things for $2,700?
I don't know, but I think we ought to get one.
This is incredible. Just incredible.
Thanks for staying with us on the Tech Ranch. Let's rejoin Marlo and Steve as they guide us through the fascinating world of technology.
Blimps are back. Oh, am I working? How come I'm not hearing anything, Steve? We'll work on that later. Hello, everybody.
It worked a couple minutes ago.
Yeah. So blimps are back.
Yay!
Yeah.
Hey.
And they might even be the future of travel, of air travel.
Not just the sub, right?
Not just the sub.
Have you ever had a Blimpie sub?
No.
They're really good.
Maybe.
Blimpies?
I think so.
Had to have a Blimpie.
Yeah. They're not around. They used to have one around here, didn't they?
Used to be a lot of places. They kind of contracted a little bit.
Yeah. No, they're good, actually. Yeah.
Very good.
I think I have had one. But anyway, not the
hungry again.
Sandwich that we just, wolfed on real fast. So I think this is interesting. Have you ever been in an airship before, or a blimp?
No, I haven't. Hot air balloons, yes.
Okay.
Not a blimp. Not an airship.
Would you fly in one?
As long as it's not called the Hindenburg, I'm in.
1937 is when that went down.
Was that? Yeah.
Not crazy. The new ones are going to use basically helium.
Yeah, not hydrogen.
No.
Hydrogen, bad.
Yes. And they have some type of system where they can inflate it with helium and then, keep the helium somehow or another. And then add more air.
Does everybody riding in the ship talk like this?
Gee, I don't know if you know this or not, but helium, there's no making it again. Once you use it, it's like gone forever. It actually outgasses off the planet.
Oh, it leaves the planet?
Yeah.
Entirely?
Yeah, it just goes up and, isn't that something?
It's like, see ya.
See you later. So I'm always interested in,
Where do you get helium?
That's a good question.
It's not like you mine it, crack a rock, and helium comes out. No, doesn't work that way.
We should check into that, actually.
Yeah. Where does helium come from?
But we'll check in that, and we'll come
How
back
do you
with
produce
that.
helium?
Are you asking Google?
I am.
Yeah.
Methods. Gas extraction involves the production of helium from natural gas sources such as methane, ethane, and propane. This process begins with the purification of raw natural gas to separate the different gases into their pure components.
I did not know this.
Now we know.
That's interesting.
Another product.
Yeah. that'll be our next thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Side note.
to figure out a way to make helium. The reason I'm bringing up the blimps is that Google co-founder is making a blimp.
Really?
Let's see. Trying to remember his name here. Give me a second. Yeah, in fact, his airship has FAA clearance now, as a matter of fact. Sergey Brin, 124-meter long airship called the Pathfinder 1, set to launch for the first time in the days or weeks ahead. The helium-filled airship received a special airworthiness certificate in September that allows it to begin flight tests within the boundaries of Moffett Field and neighboring Palo Alto Airport airspaces up to 1,500 feet. So you might see it wandering around San Francisco Bay here in the next couple weeks.
West Coast version of the Wright brothers.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, it's not really new technology.
It's not, but they're really making these things kind of cool. It's very high tech traveling, and it's very comfortable traveling, I guess. The downside to it, I don't think, is that they go above 10,000 feet because they don't pressurize the cabin. Right. So you have to be a little aware of potential thunderstorms or whatever.
The cabin, though.
So that could be interesting to get above the weather. Probably make the trip easier as well.
Well, if you're looking at the desert Southwest or California, or places you don't have to worry about too much weather.
Yeah. I was working on a project a couple of years ago. There was a company in Canada that was creating airships as basically used as cranes.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah, I think, when I was working, and I know we may have even talked about this, where you could come into like North Dakota and you could lift a rig, for example, instead of, how they skid it along the ground now, which is still a lot better than deassembling and assembling. They now kind of skid them.
Yeah, they're crawlers. They're one piece.
And you could actually lift it and move it. And these things lift quite a bit. And I was thinking along the lines of, sugar beet industry, when they're, instead of, having 100 trucks move back and forth over the 4 or 5 or 8 miles.
Autonomous, didn't you? Yeah.
And then you could pick up this whole thing at one time and move it over, and then you wouldn't have the road or the restrictions you have on roads. And probably the biggest thing with sugar beets, as
greasy, muddy roads.
Yes,
very slippery in the fall. I grew up in the valley.
I know. That's why I didn't know that.
Drove sugar beet trucks a lot in college, and it's dangerous. It's really dangerous with that rainy, sleety, snowy. Yeah, and those roads get nasty.
So this would be a way to help that, I think. So I like the idea of airships coming back. They don't take a lot of energy either to move around. That's the other nice thing. And in fact, if you're going to use solar on anything or sun-powered, a blimp.
Oh, you could do the whole thing and
makes a lot of sense.
Solar collecting fabric.
Yeah, exactly. So I expect that we're going to see more and more and more of that. This one particular one, I think it's called Airship One, actually has a lot of solar built into it as well. And they're talking about using that to go like from New York to London or Paris or whatever. Yeah. Well, it's like a 7 or 10 day trip.
That was the norm before.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, things kind of fell apart literally with the Hindenburg.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, this is kind of dangerous. Let's not do this anymore.
But it really was.
And that was an industry. It's like, I mean, you think about the airline industry. So, okay, there's a plane crash. Yeah. It happens occasionally.
Right.
With dirigibles, Hindenburg, we're done. We're so done.
It is kind of crazy that it just ended with that.
It just ended the whole thing.
Yeah. I would do this in a heartbeat.
I would too.
I mean, to me, it's no different than a water cruise.
Well, have you been in a hot air balloon?
Yes. Oh, yeah, many times.
Nervous at all? Did it kind of...
No, I'm... I've been in helicopters sitting off the side. I used to be on a search and rescue team, so those type of things don't really bother me so much. I would say...
Glad they found you.
That's funny. I would say the only time I actually really think about heights is when I'm in a skyscraper and I'm looking over the edge of the skyscraper. For whatever reason, that always kind of freaks me out. But I'm okay being, 6,000 feet up in a helicopter.
Have you ever been in the observation deck at the Sears Tower?
Yeah.
With the glass floor?
Absolutely.
And did that bug you?
The couple times I've been up there, it's been windy. And you can feel the building sway.
Yeah, you can.
That's what really freaks me out, is that you're on the 82nd floor or whatever it is, and you feel the building sway back and forth. And you just think to yourself, how is it that this building is standing up yet after all these years? But
going back to the airships, though, and they actually have been playing with rocket propelled because it used to just be propellers, and you could probably get someplace pretty fast.
If you wanted to.
I would think there would be a really good market for a personalized one.
Interesting.
I would go down that road.
We should do that. I could see it already. The Bakken airship.
Really?
Jet propulsion optional.
Did you just call me a blimp?
If you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology. The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
Welcome to the School for Startups Minute with Jim Beach.
This week I've been talking about the monumental changes happening all over the world. In fact, things are getting better by almost any statistical measure that we look at. And we'll look at 5 more next week as well. Today I want to look at one more statistical measure showing how the world is getting better, and that's the safety of pregnancy. I'll talk about it in just a second.
This is Dr. Michael Garko for Strauss Naturals. The heart is only a bit larger than a fist. Each day it pumps about 2,000 gallons of blood through 60,000 miles of blood vessels. With this extraordinary workload, I encourage you to take Strauss Heart Drops to help support a healthy cardiovascular system. The Heart Drops are backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. No questions asked. Visit StraussNaturals.com to learn more and order the Heart Drops today.
For almost all of human history, pregnancy has been incredibly dangerous. In the year 2000, just under 500,000 mothers died, and that's on a population basis of 6 billion people. 20 years later, with the population basis of 8 billion people, only 250,000 mothers died. It's a huge improvement and evidence that the world is getting better all the time.
The Ramsey Show.
Not one piece of data says that where you went to school indicates your increased probability of success.
That's right.
Not one. Lots of failures at life. Went to Harvard, to Yale, went to MIT.
That's true.
And they completely flunked out at life. I went to that school, and because they played football well, I am successful.
What? Practical financial advice from Dave Ramsey, starting at 5 p.m. weekdays on Supertalk 1270. KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the View Community Credit Union studio.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Dave Packer in southern Israel. A missile hitting a residential area just in the last hour. Israeli forces encircling Gaza City in the nearly 1 month since Hamas's deadly October 7th attacks. Gaza health officials say more than 9,400 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's response. Today, while in the Middle East, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with Egypt and Jordan's foreign ministers.
When I see a Palestinian boy or girl pulled from the wreckage of a building, it hits me in the gut, just as it hits everyone in the gut. And I see my own children in their faces. And as human beings, how can any of us not feel the same way?
He says Israel needs to do more to target attacks, but he says the administration is stopping short of calling for a ceasefire. Here at home, United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain on a live stream to members, spelling out the tentative agreement reached with General Motors and saying that the new union agreement with car makers should inspire other American union workers.
We need workers everywhere across this country to organize on the job. We need to organize the unorganized. And we need unions everywhere to rediscover the power of the strike.
No love for Chris Christie in the Sunshine State. The 2024 presidential hopeful addressing the Florida Freedom Summit in Kissimmee today. Most, it would seem, were not among the slightly more than 2% of Republicans supporting him.
You can yell and boo about it as much as you like, but it doesn't change the truth. And the truth is coming. The truth is coming. And all of you need to understand that America deserves better than what we've had.
You're listening to ABC News.
Supertalk 1270, Bismarck area weather.
With your forecast, I'm Corey Hartman. For today, mostly cloudy, highs near 39. Some fog tonight, otherwise clouds and 33. And some fog to start your Sunday. Some rain possible in the afternoon, otherwise mostly cloudy with a high of 49. Sunday night, slight chance of a shower, 34. Partly sunny, 43 on Monday. Are you behind on your tax payments? Call Tax Solutions now for help. 800-281-8193. Right now, 35.
Hey everyone, this is Robert Carey from America's #1 travel radio show, inviting you to join Mary and me and Rudy every Sunday as we cover the ever-evolving world of travel, talk with the newsmakers, share compelling experiences, and explore the world together during the fastest 2 hours in travel.
It's in our DNA to travel. The world of travel is so entwined in our daily lives. It's an economic engine, and that's why we do everything we can to bring you a diverse show that's different than anything you'll see here or find anywhere else.
So join us on RM World Travel or engage us anytime at rmworldtravel.com.
Your home for high school sports. Supertalk 1270. Listen to the games anywhere with the free Supertalk 1270 app. Download today in the App Store or Google Play.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
Ever use sugar substitutes?
I thought you were going to say Lumi. Yes, yeah, I used to. I don't now. I try not to do processed sugar very much, but aspartame, I hate that taste. Like when you drink a diet pop, and it would be when they were using that, it's just that aftertaste is, or like the sweet and lows, and just there's that artificial taste. It's just ugh.
Right. And of course, this has been kind of I think the holy grail of sweeteners in food has been trying to find something that gives people the sweetness of sugar, right?
Honey.
Without having the bad effects of sugar. Yeah, honey.
I use honey a lot.
I actually love honey. It is and I don't know if you know this, but it can actually be stored indefinitely.
Yeah. It's pure, and it is so you can put it on a wound.
Yeah,
and because it's clean. It's that good. It's got very, very high healing properties to it as well.
Have you done that before? Actually, put a little honey on a wound,
on a burn, and it worked. Just you know how you put the stuff,
burn gel or whatever.
What's it called? Aloe. Yeah, I have, because I didn't have any aloe, and I put some honey on it.
I wonder if mixing aloe and honey together would be interesting. Just throwing that out there.
I wonder what it tastes like.
Probably not so good.
No,
does aloe taste okay?
People eat aloe.
Well,
it's a supplement.
Just because you can eat it doesn't mean it
stuff
tastes good.
It's got honey in it. It's got to be good.
Okay.
I like honey. I love honey.
Anyway, there's this new sugar substitute that's been kind of making its way around a little bit, but it's it's been really difficult to make. So it's been expensive, but now there's a breakthrough that's going to drive the price way down. It's called allulose. Are you familiar with this?
Allulose?
Allulose. ALLULOSE. And it naturally occurs in fruits like figs and raisins.
Oh.
Aren't raisins grapes?
Right. Well, they used to be grapes.
Well, right. Exactly. Well said, but
part of the shriveling becoming a raisin process, maybe that's where
I suppose
that property might be.
Yeah.
Well, it's about before a fig shrivels up. What's a fig?
Prune.
No, it's a fig.
I'm down, darn you anyway. Thank you. I was like thinking about that, and I'm like, so what's a prune before it's shriveled up?
What's a date?
They think
date.
Yeah. No sleep going on over here. So allulose is 70% of Swedish sugar. And I know this is the Tech Ranch, but there's technology involved in this. Anytime that there's any type of food
product,
whatever,
preservative,
all kinds of
a lot of technology.
So it's a little less sweet than normal sugar, but 10% of the calories.
Ooh.
So it's really interesting.
What's the downside? Something that's good got to be a downside.
Well, that always seems to be it, right? But maybe not so much. That's the thing with this. It's a monosaccharide. I'm not saying that right. MONOSACCHA. Saccharide. Okay. 90% fewer calories than sucrose, which makes it virtually calorie-free. Researchers have recently found ways to produce allulose on a larger scale, which may allow it to become a popular sweetener in the future. And the FDA states that allulose is generally recognized as safe. Let's see here. It's a natural sugar. It's not an artificial sweetener. So that's the thing.
Well, so do you consider processed sugar sugar beets, processed sugar, right? And then there's cane sugar, which cane sugar is considered a natural sugar.
Have you ever broken off a piece of cane sugar?
Yeah.
It actually tastes pretty good.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's candy.
You have to be careful, though, because the cane is actually very sharp.
Yes.
I actually cut my tongue the first time I did that, and I was surprised.
Cane.
Whatever.
I'm picturing you, the owl guy on the Tootsie Pop commercial.
You truly have to
lick. Ow!
You truly have to understand me. I'm an early integrator, which means that it's new. It's new to me. It's sugar cane. Oh, let me try some. What do you mean? There's no instructions for this stuff?
How many words does it take Marlo to impale his tongue? I'm going to go 3 on the over/under on that one.
They are rather sharp. I was really surprised by that, actually. Wow.
My tongue. Did they have to pull the splinter out? Shows up at the hospital, one of those weird injuries. Hey, we got another one. Licking cane again.
How long can you go on with this?
It's like the tourists that go take pictures with the fluffy cows. Got another one.
That's right. Yeah. Don't cute buffalo. Oh, my goodness. Are you done?
I know we're on the radio, but it's the visual. I cannot get it out. Some things cannot be unseen. And now I have to giggle.
That's forever. Anyway, if you're interested in trying it, allulose is becoming readily available. So go check it out. 2 groups of people
free, by the way.
That are really going to benefit from this, and this is why I want to get to it, are people with diabetes.
Right.
If they're trying to reduce their blood sugar, allulose will be a great way to do that. And if you're overweight or trying to cut back on calories, allulose will probably help you with that too. So, yeah, I mean, this is, who shouldn't eat allulose? If you're allergic to any artificial or alternative sweetener, you should stay away from allulose, but allergies to these sweeteners are not very common. So, yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of that allergy.
I haven't either, but I think there's, you can find somebody who has an allergic reaction to about anything if you look hard enough nowadays. I mean, I'm allergic to you, and
you're allergic to sugar cane.
Yeah. I'm not allergic to it. It just hurts.
It has adverse properties.
Yeah. It's sharp.
That's an allergic reaction.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we got in the basket full of news for the day.
I like this food stuff, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
What'd you think of Alice's apple fritters or apple
popovers, kind of?
They're apple turnovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Made from a tree here.
Needs cinnamon ice cream.
That's what
we had that
too.
Discussion.
Yeah. She said
I got thinking about that. That would have been really good.
We've had some snow this week. Did you use any technology to move snow?
I was talking to a guy about a new snowblower, and the only thing that kept going through my head is, why can't we heat up the basket and just melt it?
Well, I've been kind of working on that.
I know.
Are you done laughing?
No, I got trapped on a cord under the
probably. Yeah, at least in this studio, you wouldn't have to worry about the chairs.
Yeah, I didn't. Just was hoping I didn't unplug anything.
I think you're good.
Okay,
I can hear you now. By the way,
can you? Yeah, I turned your.
Oh, that's what it was.
Your headphones were muted.
I see. I appreciate that.
I don't know how they got muted.
Well,
must have bumped something during the break.
Somebody's. Yeah, that's probably true. Still not on X, by the way.
I think we actually meant to turn the microphone off, but we missed and hit the wrong button.
I have not been on X, Twitter, formerly Twitter, since
it became
June. Shortly thereafter, yeah. And it's impossible. I can't log in, and I can't get a hold of anybody to tell them that I can't. I mean, I claim that it's my thing, and the issue is that when I signed up for Twitter originally, this is 12, 15 years ago, however long it's been around, right? The phone number that I had associated with that Twitter account, I don't have access to anymore. So the only way I can prove is by having access to that phone number that they would text to. And it just goes round and round and round. So I can't do that. So as a result, I have to contact them. Well, nobody's gotten back to me.
Here's an idea.
It's October, for goodness sake.
Start a new account.
Almost. Yeah, but I have 50,000 people on that account.
Yeah, but once you have a new account, you can migrate them.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Or once you get into that account, then you can migrate over to that other account.
I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, just establish a new account.
I don't have access to how am I going to migrate it over?
Well, you have that number. Once you're back into the system, you have options.
Well, I have another Twitter account, X account.
Well, use that then.
All right.
You have options.
Well, no, we have the option.
Well, but you got to be inside to get the option.
I have the option not to use X either. I would like to, actually. I actually kind of like the Twitter/X experience. I like to see the new stuff and take advantage of the new stuff.
But would you pay for it?
Oh, that's right. There's that, isn't there? So what is it? $8 a month? $10?
I don't know.
It's something like that to be a verified member, right? I think you get like a blue check or something.
I haven't been on it since.
See, that's the thing.
Over.
I know we talked about this a few months ago, and I don't remember the conversation either. But you're right. There's a paid version, but I think it's for verified accounts. I would pay for it if I can ever get access back.
Well, you could validate it though because you've got a business use for it. So right. I mean that's from a CES and an innovation and a technology and new devices and.
Well, it seems like at least before Elon Musk took it over that the media used Twitter a lot. That was kind of their go-to. And
do they now? You wouldn't know.
No. But Elon Musk has kind of fallen out of the grace of being the whatever of the, the sweetheart of the media. And, he's looked at as not such a nice person anymore. So I don't know.
He's a good guy.
Well, he's a good guy. He just does things on his own, and he doesn't care about what other people say. So there you go.
That's why I appreciate him.
Yeah, which is why we do what we do too, right?
Thanks for staying with us on the Tech Ranch. Let's rejoin Marlo and Steve as they guide us through the fascinating world of technology.
So what do you know about net neutrality?
Net neutrality. As in the internet?
The internet. Ooh, that root beer's good.
Squirrel. Internet net neutrality. Is that what we're?
You know, I drink root beer all the time. Why is it so much more delicious today? I don't know. Anyway, yes, net neutrality.
We're going to take a 20-minute break here while Marlo gets a nap.
Boy, only thing that would be better with that is a little ice cream right now. You can have your cinnamon ice cream for the apple kernels.
Cinnamon ice cream would probably make a good root beer float.
Probably. Yeah, I agree.
Especially when you're drinking diet root beer.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, net neutrality. So net neutrality in its truest form means that an ISP, an internet service provider, and around here where you and I live, that would be like Beck Communications, Mid-Continent, people who provide, AT&T provides the internet to use.
CenturyLink.
So they're called ISPs, the internet service providers, okay? In true net neutrality, they have no say over who you go and look at online, okay? So if you want to go to website A and then want to go to website B, they can't throttle back the speed to that website. They can't do any of that. A couple of years ago, and that's the way it was originally, and the reason for that was because it's part of the Telecommunications Act. So when you have a phone, right, you are able to call somebody in another region or whatever, and they were always so concerned that if a local, and again, because you and I live in North Dakota, this was kind of a big deal here. We have a lot of rural co-ops that had telephone services, right? Weren't part of in the heyday of like AT&T or the Bells. Bell could have said, I'm not going to allow any calls to go through to Hazen, North Dakota, because they're on this little mom and pop thing, and the heck with you guys up there, because we don't make any money on that, so we're not going to send our signal to them. So they created this neutrality law so that anybody could call anybody that had a phone number, okay? Well, the internet is basically a longer phone number, isn't it? I mean, it's not like if you go to supertalk1270.com that it's really those letters. It's 867-432-84873. There's a phone number attached to it. It's just a little longer, right? And then over time, somebody figured out a way to give those numbers a name. 867-5309. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So anyway, so that's how it works. And a couple of years ago, Congress had voted and said that ISPs should have some say over this, and basically the reasoning behind it was that marketplace forces would push these ISPs to not allow what we're talking about here to happen.
Yeah, but if you're in a rural area, you don't have choices.
Well,
you don't have market influence.
I'm just going to throw a scenario at you. Okay. And let's pick on Mid-Continent. Don't have a beef with Mid-Continent. I don't have any, I'm just picking on Mid-Continent a little bit. We could pick on Beck or AT&T or whoever, right? But if Netflix came up to Mid-Continent and said, we don't want you to offer anything from Amazon, no Prime at all on your service, and we'll pay you $20 million a year to do that. What do you think Mid-Continent would say to that?
Hey, Amazon, you're about to be blocked. You got a better offer?
I truly believe that would
work.
They would be fine with keeping everything neutral until somebody came along with enough money. And, of course, Netflix is going to say, well, Mid-Continent serves 3 million people. Well, they do the quick little math on that, and they're saying, well, if we get rid of Prime, we're gonna increase our subscriptions by 1 million more people here, or whatever it is, right?
We've seen that with TV network.
Of course.
It's like, hey, how come we're not getting CBS now? Because, well, it's not on.
That's exactly right.
They're negotiating contract.
And how frustrating is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't have that you're not supposed to have that in the world of communications. And the internet is considered a two-way communication device, like a telephone, okay? So anyway, they relaxed that a couple years ago and said that, hey, we're not going to, that Mid-Continent could actually take that money then from Netflix and say, goodbye Prime, right? Well, Congress now in the last couple of weeks has actually reversed that now. So we're back to the
Congress actually did something?
Net neutrality. Yeah, I know. So we're back to the basic net neutrality again, meaning that ISPs cannot, and they can't slow down. I mean, they could do this like, all right, we're going to offer Prime to you, but you're going to get it at like, old dial-up modem speeds, right? So who's going to watch it then, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, they could do stuff like that, right? Now it's just a free-for-all again. Of course, the downside to that is that, anybody who's family-driven, faith-based, whatever, probably don't want to see the other crazy side of the internet.
Well, and there was a homeland security component to that, if I remember correctly, too, of why they kind of got a little away from net neutrality. But again, idea that didn't work. So you have a cell phone, right?
I do have a cell phone.
Really? Okay. Do you have an unlimited plan?
I do have an unlimited plan.
Have you ever used enough data to where they slow it down?
So that is interesting. This is a very... I don't this up.
And I don't have an unlimited plan specifically for that reason. When I need I use my phone for work a lot, and when I'm traveling, I don't need something slowed down. So,
but the thing that you're getting at here is that where you're going to here is that it's slowed down, right? They throttle it back, right? But it's not just to one side or another.
It's a lot.
It's to everybody. So the same speed still applies if you're trying to watch Netflix or pull down a Google map or whatever. Right. It's even across the board.
Until they go, you just crossed an imaginary line somewhere with your unlimited plan, and we have the right to slow that down a little bit because you're using a lot of data.
Well,
even though you have an unlimited plan.
But the point I'm getting at here is even when they slow it down, it's slow across the board.
Yeah, right. You could still...
There was a time, though, that, and I remember this well, that you would get to a certain point and they would say, no more video streaming.
Really?
So that kind of was...
See, I don't know how to get to that point.
In this kind of realm of things where they would have those options to do that. They can't do that anymore. So just so you know, we're back to real net neutrality again. And if you have issues like this, then you can report your ISP to, I don't know,
the ISP.
Even Marlo. We'll talk about it here.
Yeah.
If you have issues about it, let us know. We'll talk about it here.
I do sometimes get a little close on what I have for a data plan, and you ever catch yourself not putting the video on Zoom calls on your phone? I do that a lot.
I do that a lot too.
With extra data,
mostly because
nobody needs to see. I'm
slow down the shirt today. Yeah. Well, there's that too. But a lot of times, if you have challenges with your connection already, taking the video stream out of it makes the audio much better, right?
Yeah, and you're working off that signal, that cellular signal. So it's kind of like sometimes if you're in a bad area, your phone call won't go through, but you'll get a text.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, if you have any issues with net neutrality, let us know. We'll talk about it some more.
Well, and the website's up now, so you can contact us on the website.
I hope so. It's only 3 months in the works,
You're listening where technology comes alive. Let's dive back into the conversation with Marlo and Steve. And don't forget to check out thetechranch.com for more.
In the not-so-distant future, human-like robots will be as ubiquitous as the automobile or smartphone if Agility Robotics' vision of the future comes to life. I know you love this topic, Steve.
Ubiquitous. See, it pops in my head as like Ken doll, ubiquitous.
This is what they quoted the other day at a press conference. Agility Robotics. Hertz Let's see here, Hertz, the co-founder of Agility Robotics, is an engineer by trade and has been laser focused on building an anthropomorphic robot since college, meaning they walk upright. Yeah. Eventually, you will just talk to these machines and you can just ask them for help with whatever you want to do.
Sounds like a Will Smith movie to me.
Yeah. The current model of Digit is limited to loading and unloading bins, stacking items, and completing simple tasks. But it is very, very human-esque.
Get my groceries.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's been using OpenAI's ChatGPT and it integrated it into its software. So now it has artificial intelligence being integrated. Did you and I just talk about that? Like, when ChatGPT started, like,
what is it when AI turns angry?
And it's got a robot to play with? Yeah. Right now, AI, I haven't run across much emotion in AI. I think it pretends. Like, if I have an idea.
Come on now. You said it was getting irritated with you.
It kind of did the one time, but it usually pretends to be more happy than angry. You know, that's a great idea, Marlo.
Really?
Well, thanks for patting me on the back. I'm serious. That's how it talks to you sometimes, you know. This is a very exciting idea, Marlo.
Little tongue-in-cheek there.
Yeah.
Sounds snide.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know, I hear that from other people, too, that want something from me. So what is it that you want from me? ChatGPT.
Yeah. But I'm not a robot. I may not kill you in your sleep.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, let's see. Other news. Meta is being sued over addictive features.
Well, that's been
Facebook
pending for a while now.
But it is coming to a head. So do you feel that Facebook and, of course, Meta also owns
Instagram, Snapchat, I believe.
Not Snapchat. No. They own WhatsApp. Yeah. And then they own Oculus as well. But
I guess they bought Snapchat, too.
Well, maybe they did. I guess I'm not familiar with that.
You can post once and it goes to all these different platforms.
Okay.
Which people like.
Through Meta.
Through any of them, I think.
I don't know.
I don't go on Facebook a whole lot anymore, so
I think that
it was too addictive.
Yeah, I think that that Snapchat, I'm going to back up again. That Snapchat and also X, Twitter, had that feature anyway, that you could just push it to their competitor. I mean, I would consider it their competitor, but I think they like to have that open communication,
right?
Because it builds both of them. So
yeah, thanks for backing that up, Willy Wonka.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
hold that, reverse it.
What do you think is addictive about Facebook?
It's just mind numbing. I mean, there's a little sense of gratification on something new, something new. But it's just, I cannot think of anything that wastes more time. Example, my wife and I'll get into this conversation. She always complains about, because I'll fall asleep with the TV on because it's background noise for me. It's like, I can sleep anywhere. And she gets mad at me. It's like, there you are again with falling asleep with the remote in your hand. Really? And that's different from you fixated to your phone scrolling. What the difference is, I fell asleep. You can't fall asleep because you're on Facebook. To me, there's a difference.
So what do you find? Obviously you think she's addicted then too.
Oh, absolutely. What
is it that you think the thrill of being a part of Facebook? I mean, just reading about what everybody else is doing. I mean, is it the new form of gossip? I mean, what is it about Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Are all the above?
It's a level of gossip. It's, what's going on in everybody's life, so that I don't have to engage with them to know what's going on. So,
Are you more?
It's like I'm eavesdropping.
Are you more interested in the post or the remarks that people make to the post?
Used to be the Post. I could give two craps about what other people think most of the times.
But I think a lot of people...
and a lot of people will sit there. So if it's a Post that's engaging or somebody they know, they'll go, oh, well, what are other people saying about that?
Right.
Because, apparently as a society, we've all gotten really judgmental now. And I think that
happened before. Yeah.
But I think it's escalated. It's
more public.
Yeah, it's been brought to a different level. It's like, really? Just who cares? Live your own life. That's part of the reason I just don't engage in that stuff. Honestly, I wish people would go back to posting food pictures.
I was following the shooting in Maine a couple nights ago.
Okay, so are you using social media as your news source too? Because that's different. A lot of people are, which I think people should have realized by now that's probably not the best idea.
So what I was doing is anytime that we have significant things so I'm going to back up a little bit.
Are we going to get into the conspiracy theory?
I know you're right to pop along with this.
Yes,
news, so.
Because I'm ready for our conspiracy theory. This is our conspiracy theory hat.
That's a hat? A thing of...
Well, if we blow it up, it's because that's the...
Got the tinfoil then, right?
The tinfoil dome from the Jiffy Pop.
Yeah. So do we have to pop it first? Or
no,
Okay.
We'll just...
There you go.
Yeah, it's kind of a...
So I wouldn't say it's a conspiracy theory thing, but I noticed within a half hour of them starting to report about the shooting that they've already profiled the shooter. And that's the thing and it was on every news network that way. I was trying to find some different slants on it, and this person had been profiled as, they already knew he had been spent 2 weeks in a mental hospital. And
person of interest popped up pretty quick.
Pretty quick, right? And so I found that interesting. So then I thought, I'm going to see what social media is saying. So I hopped onto TikTok is where I actually went to see if there's any lives going on. And there were a multitude of lives. And the first thing was, there's a couple of people just sitting there, and maybe you and I need to do this sometime, Steve, but the one gentleman in particular who wasn't a news person at all was just talking. He had a computer screen in front of him, and I think he had a couple TVs going or whatever, and was just talking about the news as it was coming across, right? He had 300,000 people watching him. And I'm like, any of these people could go and turn on any of these things that this person's watching and do or just get the information themselves, but instead they were hearing his take.
But the difference is, okay, you've got somebody that's streaming all these different facets of information. So he's probably sitting there with 2 or 3 TVs on,
right,
watching the local news channels, maybe listening to a local radio station, and he's kind of consolidating all that information. And it's at your fingertips because it's on your phone, on your device, and social media. Versus, okay, I'm going to go online and go to this news source, and I'm going to go to this local TV station, local website. And, but it's not on TV because very few TV stations will live stream stuff. They'll post it shortly thereafter.
Right.
So now you've got somebody reporting, granted their slant, and that's, I think, the part people leave out is it is just somebody's take on that.
It is somebody's take.
Somebody's bias. So you've got somebody reporting not only that one in real time, it just as simple as reading the ticker on the bottom of the screen, which is in real time. And, okay, well, he's got 3 TVs up reading all the tickers in all real time versus I got to go fumble through, and if I'm going to try to switch back and forth between different websites for different TV stations or a radio station. Yeah, okay.
I think
so he's an anchor at that point.
It was just interesting to have somebody who's not a professional journalist, and I'm not saying you and I are either, but
I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Well, you're closer than me then. Yeah. But it's just interesting to me to see that.
Well, Jason Spies, who I had do another program with,
and to have that kind of following. That was the thing. I could see if there was 5 people, but this person was approaching 300,000 people watching them then. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
Him and I talked quite a bit about podcasts and how podcasts really now have kind of displaced some credible news sources and some mainstream media, little different space rather than something that's in real time. But being able to tune in to a location on the site, instantaneous, and this comes back to, okay, the addictive part of any social media, it's the instant gratification. I mean, you're there in real time versus having to go to a website and pull something up, and it's a little clumsy, a little cumbersome. It's like I'm at the event. Yay, I'm at the shooting.
I think so that is where I think you're spot on.
Oh, we got that Eels Bugler.
Yeah. That one person that I'm talking about, and there was 4 or 5 others, but this one really, really struck me because of the mass number of people. He actually, one of his streams that he was watching was the local news channel from the town in Maine. And they were having, I mean, it was like straight coverage of what was going on. I mean, it's like the local news coming on because, of course, the killer hasn't been caught, and of course, I'm sure people are like, locking their doors, and this is a crazy scenario for this town of 30,000 people that's going on, right? So that I think you hit the nail on the head when you said all of a sudden these 300,000 people watching this person because they know that he's local and getting this local news feed, even though he's just sitting in his basement in his house or whatever, did bring them closer to the event than what they would get from local news or from national news. I truly believe that's why that person was getting so many people to watch.
Well, it's kind of like when there's an incident going on and you're there. Yeah, I mean, you're right there. Not that you want to be there at a tragic event, but it's kind of like people that go to NASCAR to watch for the wrecks or rodeo to watch the wrecks. People kind of get jacked up on chaos.
First person experience. Well, if you can't have the first person experience, then you can maybe
person laugh.
Yeah, because if this person's watching the local news, probably the local news channel is going to get the news first before the national stuff does. So I'm sure that's what people were hoping for, is that there would be some little nugget of news that would come out that they would hear before even the national stuff.
Do you ever do that when something bad happens? Go to a local TV station or their website and try to watch what's going on in real time?
So I've done that a few times. And there's been a few things, speaking of your conspiracy theorist thing, and I forget, that's right, shake it up a little bit. I forget the trial, but it was in the small town right outside of St. Louis. Do you remember this, like 4 or 5 or 8 years ago? A police officer had killed somebody, and it was like they made this for television. They were going to read the verdict at 8:00 at night. Do you remember this?
Yeah, it was and I'm like, body cam footage.
Okay. So what I had done is I had somebody was in the crowd. There's already riots that were going on. For the life of me, I cannot remember the name of the town, but it's right out of St. Louis. And they were streaming the event, and I was also watching the news footage on the inside of in the courtroom. First of all, they should have read this at 7:00 in the morning. Then there'd been never an issue. I just never had understood this. It was made for prime time, in my opinion. And they read this thing, and they told the whole reason why they're not going to convict the police officer. Well, came across Twitter, because they only have 128 characters at the time. I was not guilty. And the whole crowd, their phone just all lit up, and they went crazy.
And then burn the house.
And then they burned the whole city down after that, right? And that's what I remember seeing about, watching the national news compared to the local stuff, and what could happen so quickly because of that.
It's kind of like when Detroit wins any championship in any sport. They burn the city down.
Welcome back to the Tech Ranch. We're thrilled to have you with us as we continue exploring living with technology alongside Marlo and Steve.
Taking an Uber ride in Phoenix soon?
Not planning on it, but I do get down there a couple times a year.
Well, if you do, don't be surprised if your Uber ride shows up without someone behind the wheel.
Autonomous Uber.
Or in the car. So up to this point, there have been autonomous rides. They've been experimenting with it, but they always had somebody in the car in case something were to happen, right?
Well, have you seen those cars too? The ones they've been experimenting with. It's like they've got so much. The car is actually twice the size of the car because they've got all these cameras, controls, and telemetry.
Well, of course, I've seen these.
Oh my God!
I've been 40 self-driving cars. Of course,
yeah. It's like the car is huge.
Yeah.
The car is actually small, but it's huge.
But they're starting to integrate all the technology now. I mean, it's just easier when you're actually out mapping or whatever to have all this stuff on the outside, because if you need to replace something,
right,
you can just replace it, right? So it's easy. But yeah, starting very shortly here, you will probably, if you're in the Phoenix area, there's a good chance that you're going to have an Uber roll up, and there will not be anybody in the car. You've been able to do this for a while, and in Vegas, for example, Waymo. I've taken a couple rides in self-driving cars already, just rolling around town, but it's not been a big integration into anything. It's just been very spotty here and there, right? This is a big rollout with a big company now. Not that Waymo is a small company, because their mother company's Alphabet, which is Google. So this is this partnership that's going to go on, and you'll be able to get a ride now. The launch comes 5 months after Uber and Waymo announced their partnership, and we'll have driverless rides starting Thursday. So that would be in 5 days.
Wow.
And Waymo's 180 square mile service in the Phoenix area.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. It really is. And it's not just confined to the interstate, because that's pretty easy for autonomous vehicles. It's the rolling around downtown Phoenix with people walking all over the place, and dogs and cats and birds. Oh my, lions and tigers and whatever else.
Rattlesnake, scorpion.
Yeah, got to avoid all that stuff.
I wonder how. Now, you're not allowed to answer this, but for the average person, the first time that would have happened, I would guess you'd be a little taken back, going, "There's nobody in the vehicle."
It'll be curious to me. So you actually get notified. I'll just read this. Riders will be notified by the Uber app when they are matched with a driverless Waymo vehicle, and will have the option to confirm the driverless ride or be matched with a conventional vehicle instead. So you'll get notified before the driverless one dispatches to come and pick you up. So you won't be totally surprised when this car rolls up and, "Hey, Steve, come on in."
So you get a discount?
So that's an interesting question. I don't think you get a discount now. The ride will charge the same rate as regular Uber rides.
But you don't have to tip.
And customers will be able to see the pricing up front in the Uber app. Uber and Waymo are also working together to launch driverless deliveries at a later date. That's a great question, though, about the tipping.
You don't have to tip if there's nobody in there.
Do you think it's going to pop up asking if you want to tip?
I don't know.
And where will the money go?
Well, if it's just all right, so here's another question.
Does the car be able to go up to Penco then and then get a premium oil change?
So here's the question, though.
Because it's thirsty?
Oh.
None of that regular stuff for me.
So with Uber or Lyft or any of the ride shares, it's somebody's private vehicle. Are these going to be somebody's private vehicle, or is it company cars?
These are company cars.
Right. So if it was somebody's private vehicle that had, because at some point you're going to be able to just slap a module onto a vehicle and go, okay, it's autonomous now. I really feel that.
There are some vehicles you can do that now.
Yeah. So somebody's private vehicle that, hey, I'm going to ride share, but I don't have to go along for the ride.
Yes. Although I'm not sure. I think Uber and Lyft are going to offer those type of options. If you own an autonomous vehicle, that you will then be able to lend your vehicle.
So I would work all day and it's going to go make me more money.
That's correct. And there'll be a big push. A lot of people will see that right away. It's like having a VRBO or an Airbnb, right?
Yeah. I got a vacation cabin, but I only spend 3 weekends there.
Exactly.
Let it make money for me.
The average car sits idle 92% of the time. Sits in your garage, sits at the parking lot at work. It sits all the time. So if you can deploy it to make more money, of course, Why not do
Yeah, but that makes a lot of sense in California because you can't afford to put gas in it.
Shake your popcorn.
Yeah, huh?
Although I guess that's not conspiracy. That's actually...
No, that's actually fact.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of I'm very intrigued on the private side of this.
I do believe that, in fact, I know for a fact, I forget which companies are with who, but like Ford is matched with Lyft and GM is matched with Uber and these companies have invested big time in there. And the reason that they have is because they want their autonomous vehicles to be part of that fleet. So Ford will, and I don't know who's with who, but they're all with somebody. Okay,
little R&D going.
Yeah, and they will eventually basically own the car. In fact, all car companies are more interested in the amount of money that they can get from you by the mile as opposed to you owning your car straight up. This is where they're all going, which is why the lease option has become such a big deal because the companies still own the cars. There's a big upside to the companies owning the cars forever. So that's what they're trying to do now. And they look at autonomous vehicles as a way for us to get away from ownership of vehicles because then they can just charge by the mile. They can make less cars and make more money because instead of that car sitting idle 92% of the time, now they can have that thing deployed 80% of the time, making money for them. And that's how they look at this model.
Well, and the model has to change because if you take a look at the way the finances are set up for keeping up roadways, that's gasoline tax.
Absolutely.
What if you're not using gasoline? So at some point you're going to have to go to a road tax or a wheel tax.
Yeah. Or a kilowatt hour tax.
A kilowatt hour tax.
Yeah, which would make sense.
Yeah. So, but did you see they're rolling out the new Tesla truck?
Yes.
8,000 pounds? Okay.
I'm shaking my head.
Roads aren't built for that. Residential roads especially are not built for that.
Yeah.
So if your neighbor down the street goes and gets this new Tesla truck and your road's got to get fixed in a couple of years because this truck's beating the crap out of it, just like most people don't know, garbage trucks are huge culprit for busting up roadways.
Sure. Have you been watching so EVs in general are in trouble right now. And actually we should I know we're getting to the end of this segment here, so we'll just carry this over to the next segment. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenges that electric vehicles are facing right now. And it's really, really interesting what's going on in that space. Just telling you.
Well,
take your conspiracy thing again.
A lot of it's the rare earth mineral side of things. And, you've heard of blood diamonds, right?
Yeah.
Well, blood minerals is actually a term that's been coined.
Yeah. So it's really interesting what's going on there, and we'll talk about that next. Or next. Eventually, we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there.
If you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology. The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
Welcome to November 4th on the National Day calendar. Today we're enjoying sweet indulgences and admiring magnificent majesties of the plains.
From lollipops to gummies, chocolates to caramels.
Caramel.
Candies bring sweetness to our lives and smiles to our faces. They remind us of childhood joys, holiday celebrations, and simple pleasures.
Hey, this Coke bar is good. It's a Twix! They're all Twix! Now, give me one! Give me a Twix!
They're all gone.
On World Candy Day, let's celebrate these delightful confections. Treat yourself to your favorite candy. Share some with a friend. Or maybe even try making some homemade candy or caramel
later
on today.
Homemade caramel is actually pretty easy to make.
And it's like the perfect time with caramel apples. What's your favorite candy?
I like have you ever had Good and Plenty's? They're black licorice that are coated with a little bit of the hard shell on the outside. Yeah. Those are kind of my go-to. They've been around forever though. And you?
Probably a Twix. I love the chocolate and caramel mix.
Yeah, I love the commercials. They're hilarious. From sweet treats, we turn to the awe-inspiring symbol of the American West, the bison.
The Tonka. The Tonka. Buffalo.
Majestic and resilient, bison are not just beautiful creatures, they play a crucial role in maintaining healthy grassland ecosystems. Today, on Bison Day, we celebrate these magnificent animals. It's a day to appreciate their contribution to our ecosystems, recognize the cultural significance they hold for many Native American tribes, and support efforts to conserve and expand their habitats.
I've never seen a bison up close. I remember coming to North Dakota and seeing one from afar, but I heard they're beautiful.
Majestic is a great word for them. They're big. They're really fast. I think a lot of people are taken back by how fast they run because they're so large. You just wouldn't expect that. We have them here all over the place. So,
all right, I'll be back.
Okay.
I'm LaToya Johnson.
I'm Marlo Anderson.
Thank you for joining us as we celebrate every day on Destination Celebration.
Until next time, keep celebrating.
Welcome to the School for Startups Minute with Jim Beach.
All this week, I'm presenting evidence that the world is in fact getting better all of the time. It seems like the exact opposite is true with wars in Israel and Ukraine and inflation and our government not working. It seems like everything is falling apart. In actuality, things are getting better all the time. I'll give you a little bit more evidence of this in just a second.
This is Dr. Michael Garko for Strauss Naturals. Seasonal flu, an acute respiratory infection caused by influenza viruses, is associated with tens of thousands of deaths annually. Your immune system is the sentinel of your body against the flu. Strauss Naturals Immune Support, Cold Storm, Travel Bug, or Smooth Oregano Drops supports a healthy immune and respiratory system. All Strauss products are backed by 100% satisfaction guarantee. Visit StraussNatural.com to learn more and click on Ask Dr. Garko if you have any questions.
One of the best ways to see that the world is actually getting better all of the time is to look at childhood mortality. In 1990, 12 million children under the age of 5 died. 30 years later, in 2020, only 5 million children died. It's a vast improvement, and it's happening all over the world, especially in India, where the death rates have gone from 24% down to 3%.
KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck, a town square media station, broadcasting from the View Community Credit Union Studio.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Dave Packer. It's Saturday night in southern Israel, and there are more airstrikes out of Gaza as the war between Israel and Hamas becomes bloodier by the day. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visiting Jordan today, saying allies in the region remain committed to doing what they can, not just to end the violence from the conflict, but achieve a lasting peace.
Precisely now, when the stakes are highest, and even when the outlook seems darkest, that we have to intensify our work to meet this moment.
And as pro-Palestinian marches in Washington and this one in Paris call for a ceasefire, Alex Sherman, whose son's an Israeli soldier, says not until the 240 hostages taken by Gaza are returned.
I want my army to press on Hamas as much as they can and not giving even a second, not to give them a second of peace until our sons and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers are back home.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis stealing a line from former President Trump at the Florida Freedom Summit in Kissimmee, Florida.
We will build a border wall, and we are going to have countries like Mexico pay for it, not because they're just going to fork over money. Of course not. We're going to impose fees on the remittances that foreign workers send to countries like Mexico.
Most of the 2024 Republican presidential hopefuls are there this weekend. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen returned to Kyiv today to offer an update on Ukraine's possible ascension to the European Union, telling President Zelensky,
"You have reached many milestones, reforming your justice system, curbing the oligarchs' grip, tackling money laundering, and much more."
There will be acceptance talks for Ukraine in December. You're listening to ABC
Supertalk 1270, Bismarck area weather.
With your forecast, I'm Corey Hartman. For today, mostly cloudy, highs near 39. Some fog tonight, otherwise clouds in 33. And some fog to start your Sunday. Some rain possible in the afternoon, otherwise mostly cloudy with a high of 49. Sunday night, slight chance of a shower, 34. Partly sunny, 43 on Monday. Are you behind on your tax payments? Call Tax Solutions now for help. 800-281-8193. Right now, 35.
In communities across North Dakota, AM radio stations like ours are vital connections to emergency information, weather updates, local news, sports, and entertainment. And we need your help. Text AM to 52886. That's text AM to 52886. And tell Congress to keep AM radios in cars. This ad is aired by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Supertalk 1270.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
EVs, electric vehicles, in my opinion, are in serious trouble.
And why would that be? Because you can't charge them anywhere if you're on vacation in Las Vegas?
So there's that,
yeah,
and we'll get to that in a second. This is what I think is going on with EVs right now. So EV transaction prices in quarter 3 were down significantly from 2022 in an attempt to increase sales volumes. Tesla slash prices, which are now down roughly 25% year over year.
And we're talking new vehicles.
New vehicles.
Because there is no secondary market for these things.
So what's going on right now is that they're having to slash prices on EVs in order to artificially inflate the numbers that are, I shouldn't say it's artificially inflated, but it's getting more people interested because the cars are costing less, right? In order to continue to make them.
So now would be a good time to buy my Rivian.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Rivian's really in trouble right now.
Yeah, I know they are.
So this is my opinion. And I think a lot of people who own electric vehicles, and I won't say all, but a lot of people are probably upper middle level or middle income.
It would
or poor. That's correct.
And it was disposable income, and it wasn't which you and I have had this conversation that where do electric vehicles make sense? Okay, the daily commuter,
yes,
the daily driver.
That's correct.
The price point way out of.
And most of these people, this isn't their only car.
Right.
This is their run around town car. And they could afford the $80,000 or whatever. That's not the case for everybody. I know people personally, even in the town that you and I live in, that own a Tesla or whatever. And it's their only car. And, they've told me the things they love about it. They told the cold weather is the thing that they hate about it because the mileage goes way down. But overall, they seem to enjoy having the car outside of the charging challenges. But again, it's just a run around town car. You can plug that in even into a regular thing. If you're, it takes a week to charge them with a regular plug-in setup. And, but if you're only driving 10 or 20 miles a day, you can keep up with a regular AC outlet, right? So getting back to that though, so it's cool. Well, how many people are there that fit into that slot that I just described? Upper middle income, rich. Okay, so if they all have one, or the people who are in that level already have one, now what? I mean, the average everyday person isn't rushing out to buy these things because, first of all,
prohibitive.
Who's got 6 hours to go and charge one? This is the thing that I do not understand. I still don't understand this, and I've told those stories on here before. Now I'm going to get passionate about it again, but I cannot. I mean, that one time, it was a day and a half while I was in Vegas. I have a rented electric vehicle. I got so fed up with it, I took it back. And the only thing I could get was another electric vehicle. But I had to actually...
But at least that one was charged.
That one was charged, so then I could actually drive someplace again. And then I eventually, even though I was down to 2% charge in that thing by the time I was able to find a charger,
that
put it in.
Brought up an interesting point in my head.
Crazy.
So, there's some rideshare things in large cities where you just go grab a vehicle.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Lime scooter or the Bird scooter.
It's called...
they have vehicles for that.
Yeah, they're lime. Some of them are actually lime green. They run around town. They almost remind me of the little vehicle.
Take it where you
wheel vehicle.
But they actually have full-size vehicles.
They do.
You could do that. So, you just take it where you're going and dump it off.
Yeah.
And is that a better role for some electric vehicles? I mean, I could see that being a space that they could occupy. Problem I've got with electric vehicles is there's no secondary market for them. So you're not going to sell. A lot of people trade off a vehicle every 2 or 3 years. And where's the resale value?
Well, it's been pretty high till now.
Yeah, but when that battery's gone, scrap the vehicle.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just, I got to put a new battery in. No. The cost of that is the vehicle.
Now,
you're getting a new vehicle.
I will tell you.
So it's disposable.
That
it's not an asset.
I love the performance of electric vehicles.
I do
That's
too.
probably the one thing that I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can have this in a gas-powered vehicle.
I love, and I've told you this before, I absolutely love the new Hummer, the GM Hummer. Love it. If I can get that in a 6.6 liter, I'm all over it.
I had a
validate the electric side of it, not where we live.
So the last Wrangler I had, I didn't even know they had this. I rented a really nice looking Jeep Wrangler.
The E-Jeep?
And it is a hybrid.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the path we were going down, and then we should have stayed on that path.
You have no idea. It was like a combination of both. You had the...
best of all worlds.
You had that high performance of an electric vehicle. See, that was the thing. It wasn't
God bless Toyota for sticking to their guns on that.
Jeep, by the way. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but Toyota's stayed on that.
Right.
Because everybody else had gone down that road of a hybrid, and then the government had incentivized to go away from that and go strictly electric.
What's the name of the Toyota that was so popular or is popular? Starts with a C.
Camry?
Maybe it doesn't start with a C. Anyway, they're hybrid that they've had since 2006 or whatever it was. Prius, there we go. That's exactly right.
Does not start with a C.
I know, not even close. Oh, kind of. The C could fit into the P, I guess. Right, for Prius. Anyway.
Backwards P, but it's a C.
They're not exactly what most people would call a high performance vehicle.
No.
Now the hybrid in the Jeep, however, oh my goodness, that thing was like an electric vehicle that had the torque and all of that stuff. I mean, this thing took off like a rocket.
Well, we talked about that before. And what's the most efficient?
So
hybrid.
Yeah, it's just using the motor to basically charge up the battery.
Yeah.
Now. Granted, this thing wasn't getting 50 miles a gallon. It was probably pushing 21, 22, a lot better than the Wrangler that we have ourselves, because I think we get 16 or 17 with it. So it wasn't, I mean, it's more efficient, just not as efficient as if it was a 100% hybrid like a Prius would be.
Well, I told you about the E-Jeep that one of my wife's friends had to have. Electric Wrangler, and they can't run around all town in the winter when it's cold.
Yeah,
on a full charge. With a full charge,
They get 100 miles, I bet they're lucky.
Yeah, and they got to be very cognizant of, okay, well, we ran to South Bismarck, and now we ran up to North Bismarck,
right.
And then we need to think about getting home.
Yeah, which is too bad that it has to be that way. But anyway, sales are down, and they're down significantly.
Buy.
And I think it's just this combination. And to me, the biggest thing is just the charging scenario is a nightmare most of the time if you get away from your home base. Now, if it makes sense if you can charge them at home.
Or at work.
Someplace that your car is going to be stationary for a while and you have the infrastructure to charge it, right? But if you have to start traveling, and I mean, if you're okay with being stuck somewhere for 6 or 8 hours, that's one thing. The other thing that I've noticed, by the way, is like they'll have 4 charging stations, right, when you go up to a charging area. And there's, like in a gas station, if all the spaces for filling up your tank are full, people just naturally get in line behind a car, right?
Right.
And then you just pull up when the next person leaves. There isn't this type of scenario of lanes with these charging stations. They put them off on the side. There's no driving through it because it's usually off on the side of a parking lot. There's a big fence next to it.
And you're driving through it would be, okay, I could be here for 3 hours while that thing's charging.
Right. So people kind of scatter around like the parking lot waiting for the next one to open up. Well, who knows who's next? There's no like ticking or something.
Oh, come on now.
Goes on.
You've never gone up to, like, okay, I'm driving down the street and I can't find a parking space in places with parking meters. Right. And you go, okay, then you start looking for who's got 3 minutes left.
So, yes.
So now with the electric vehicle stuff, just because there's 3 minutes left on a charge or what they paid for or
right
till that charge is full, doesn't mean somebody's coming out.
Well, there's that, and there's no way to get in line behind them. They have to still pull out, and then whoever conveniently is there next can pull in and start charging.
How far are we away from having charging pads for electric vehicles?
So they're available now.
But cost effectively? Or because it's not the same level of charge. It's more of a passive charge. But if you could take away the people that, so say you're in a big city, you've got a parking ramp, and this entire level of parking ramp is for electric vehicles, and it's one big charging mat. So you're not waiting for people to plug in and unplug their vehicle,
right? And
their vehicle's charging passively while they're at work.
So
that would alleviate a lot of the stress.
There would be, and you just have to adapt your car so it could take the passive charge, the wireless charge that you're talking about.
Which isn't as fast, but still, you need to get home.
I was, you just think about your phone that you charge up wirelessly. I mean, it's the same technology that does that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
And I've got one that'll just take a while because I'll throw mine on one at night because I know it's going to sit there and it's fine. It'll tell you it's like 2.5 hours till full charge. I'm sleeping. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I also have one that, hey, it'll speed charge the crap out of that thing.
Right.
And that's the one I have at my office at my desk.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that would be a viable thing to do, and probably not so expensive to put those in.
Because you've talked about the ability to do that while traveling on roads with autonomous vehicles to be able to charge them en route.
Well, I mean, there's this talk about beaming power from space.
All right, Scotty.
And I do look forward to that.
Without the tether.
Yeah.
Without the tether.
Without the tether. Although having the tether on is kind of fun, This thing
like
just
to say tether.
Swinging around, on the planet Earth, off the planet Earth.
Woohoo! Yeah, but I think of the big drilling thing from the Star Trek movie.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly what this would kind of look like, except that it's not drilling.
Just like we'll say tether.
Tether.
Like sphere. You like saying sphere.
Correct.
And we're back with the Tech Ranch. Get ready for more amazing tech insights from the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
What do you think of the new nameplates?
I like them.
Yeah.
They're very cool.
They are kind of cool. So I guess it's kind of hard to describe this. But I'll try to paint a picture the best I can. So it's a nameplate. It printed on our 3D printer, one of our 3D printers here. And it's called a sweeping nameplate. So it kind of your name, like Steve Bakken, which, by the way, I'm making you one, but I need to know.
It's like a pompadour kind of.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Like a comb over.
So
hey, you said sweeping.
So
looking back.
So Chris, or Jordan, he's Jordy Alexander. Social guy. That's how is our social guy, Jordy Alexander. Chris, who's on the show quite often too, is king of the internet, Chris Van Deventer, right? So I'm making mine right now. It's printing right now. Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson. Yep, will be on mine. So we have to come up with yours. What are we gonna? You need to have like a title with Bakken. Like because I think Queen of the Internet's taken already. So we had to come up with. I'm glad you're laughing at me with that instead of throwing things. That's going to be next, I'm sure.
I don't know. You don't name yourself.
Okay.
I was a little fond of those. Remember the memes with the great white shark?
Yeah.
The Steve.
Oh, I could just do that, but I wanted
a shark. Those are kind of cool.
We did have something a little longer. Did you ever have a DJ?
I always use my own name.
Yeah, always.
Radio. Yeah.
For all 40 years you've been doing this. Is this 40 years now?
Yeah, and then some.
Oh my goodness! You were how old when you started?
12.
12.
I first solo shift on the air when I was 12.
Oh, what shift was that? That was the midnight to 7, wasn't it?
No, okay. Actually, it was.
Why was it? I was hoping not when you were.
No, it was a Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
And somebody called in sick, and there was nobody to cover it, and they're like, "Yeah, you're ready." And if you're not,
wow,
yeah, you're ready. I'm like, okay.
And you had been hanging around the radio station for a while.
Since I was 8. Yeah, so I hung around the station, helped out different promotions.
How did you start working or helping out at a radio station when you're 8 years old? I mean, was something in the family?
No, I just fascinated. I used to ride my bike over, and I played DJ in my bedroom when I was growing up with my little turntables, and yeah, I got a friend that did the same thing too.
And is in the business as well?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I didn't know that was a thing. It's like Lincoln Logs, but with records.
So you show up at the station, and then like what? The station manager?
I think
it got excited.
Started because I used to win a lot of stuff.
Okay. The rotary phones?
I think, yeah, I had it down. I had that rotary dial thing down. And then I think they just got sick of me winning stuff, and then started answering phones for a countdown show at night in the summers.
Okay.
And that was kind of where it all started. And, got to be friends with all the DJs and the programmers and salespeople. And yeah, then, hey, we need a part-timer. You're a warm body. Go.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Yeah. I did that all through high school, did it through college, and just kind of stuck with it a little bit here and there, and, taking some breaks along the years, but always kept my fingers in it some way, shape, or form. But
I don't mean
to radio stations. I've worked them. I've managed them. I've brokered them. I've done everything in broadcasting.
But you were basically a DJ to start with, and then and I know you still do that a little bit. You fill in for whoever at the station group here. But do you?
I used to DJ a lot of wedding dances back. I loved DJing wedding dances. That was kind of that was more fun than anything else.
What was your first talk show?
Oh, I used to do some stuff back in Grand Forks on KLXX, which was an AM station. The most prominent one, I did some work with Colin Coward in Portland when I worked in Portland for Entercom. Did some stuff with him for about 6 months before he went to ESPN.
I suppose since that
was kind of cool.
Been on the air so long and have done so many shows, it's probably, I just remember the first time, because to me this is not a full-time gig, as you know.
No,
this is just a very, very part-time thing.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I remember the first time I was on the air on this side of the mic, and just fearful, right? I mean, I was shaking. And then the second time, for the Tech Ranch. I remember Dean Mastel. You probably remember Dean. And I think he's still in insurance running around town here. Love Dean, by the way. I miss him, actually. And he had mentioned something about that. I don't know if they got their ratings in for the day or for the year or whatever it was. And he was reading these, and he's like, "Wow, we might have like, I don't know, 1,000 people listening to the show right now or something." And that just like hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, what? There's 1,000 people listening to what I'm saying right now. I'd never thought about that before.
Well, you don't when usually you're in a studio.
Yeah, it's just you and me, right?
Or you're by yourself. And I've worked big markets, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. There's 1 million people listening to you.
Yeah. Just don't even think about it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the ratings, you go, we got 1 million people listening at any given time. It's like, okay. But it's just one-on-one. Here's the ironic part about it is most DJs, like music DJs, they're introverts.
Yes.
They're not people that want to be out in the public.
First
it's a defense mechanism the radio guys, they're overcompensating.
Yeah.
They're not. That's not who they are.
I remember the first time I met somebody who was a DJ and got to know the person. And I'm like, you are not a public person.
No.
And yet your job is being a public person.
Yeah, but it's just you and the mic.
It is weird to know that, right? And you're right. These people are generally very shy, unlike you and me.
Yeah, we're not shy. Actually, you know what?
I guess I kind of am, but
I've got windows of comfort. So, sure. And in my space, I've hosted or emceed big conferences and different sporting events and music events, and if I'm in a room with a small group, I'm fine. If I'm in a room with, say, 20 to 35 people, that's not my comfort zone. But I've got no problem being on a stage in front of 25,000 people announcing a concert.
Yeah.
Or doing some banter with I'm fine with that. You're not seeing the individuals at that point. The lights are bright.
Right.
And I tend to make things very, very conversational. It's like you and we have a conversation. When I'm hosting a show, it's not about the show. It's not about me. It's about the guest. So I always kind of look at it from an educational perspective. It's kind of like what we do with the Tech Ranch here. We're trying to educate people. And hey, it's cool stuff out here. Come check out this, or try to bring something of interest that's like, oh, I didn't know that, and then let an expert. In our case, it's you. Talk about what they know.
Not really.
I know. But
you guys brand me well.
So, but that's the way I always approach it. And then my job on this side of the mic is about how do I make the person on the other side of the mic as comfortable as possible.
Sure.
How do you ask the right questions that are going to allow them to relax and answer that question?
Be the person that they really are, right? Yeah, so I find it, your story is intriguing, actually, and I appreciate you sharing that with us.
You've returned to the Tech Ranch, where technology is our passion. Let's jump back into the conversation with Marlo and Steve.
One of the things I love about CES is the running into people that maybe, that I've talked to in the past or whatever, and then see how that technology has developed. I had the opportunity to visit with Dr. Andil Akhter, Akhter, and he has a friend. His friend's name is Dan, who had lost a limb, and Dr. Akhter has actually built a bionic limb. And what's amazing about this is the first time I met him and then visited with Dan a little bit, Dan talked about, he has 2 children. Dan talks about how he was able to feel his daughter's hand as they were, or touch as they were holding hands one time with his bionic limb. So the ability to even feel is becoming a reality for people who have lost limbs. So this is an amazing story, and actually kind of touched me watching this develop over the years. You're gonna hear again. This was for video for CES 2022 and 2023. There are actually 2 interviews. We'll play them back to back. The first one's a little shorter. The second one's significantly longer. And the first one's kind of an introduction to this. So Dr. Acker actually has a board that he in the first video that he's holding up. And Dan is able to punch through that board with the bionic arm. So pretty impressive, right? And then in the second interview, they actually talked me into holding this board. And I don't think I'd ever done that the first time, but because I knew them going into that second, there was a little higher level of trust because obviously I had to hold this board. And as I'm holding this thing, I'm thinking, well, what if Dan's off by just an inch or two? He's going to smash one of my fingers or something like this, because it's not like I'm holding it behind. You actually have to grip over the board to do this. But the story is amazing. What's going on in artificial limbs is absolutely astounding. And I think you're really going to be impressed by what they have created. And by the way, the other thing is that these are now available to anybody. That's what I love about this is that, and it's not as expensive as you might think. You're going to hear that in these interviews about how affordable they are. And the fact that you can actually use insurance and Medicaid now, they've gone through that process as well. So it's an incredible story. And for anybody that that has lost a limb, this is kind of a new hope for those people. And I think about what's going on with people who are no longer able to walk. And I'm not talking about just the lack of limbs. I'm talking about if they're paralyzed or whatever. There's a lot of work being done in that area right now too. I'm working to get an interview sometime in the future with a very, very unique technology there that they claim actually that paralysis may be a thing of the past. Incredible, isn't it? It's just, it's hard to imagine, with all, there are pluses and minuses to technology, of course, and sometimes things seem to be moving at an incredible speed, which they are, and the advent of artificial intelligence that we're using in everyday life now has really accelerated that. This is some of the good that is coming out of that ability to create a better human condition for anybody is what is really, really exciting to me. So anyway, I hope you enjoy these 2 interviews from CES 2022, 2023. Again, Dr. Andel Achter is the gentleman who invented it, and his friend that is joining him, his name is Dan. We don't reveal his last name, but he's the one that will be demonstrating the arm. It's very, very impressive. So enjoy, everybody. This is an incredible product here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have developed and the usefulness, and I'd love to hear your story, Dan. So, but go ahead and tell us what you have going on and how this is developed.
Yeah, so we develop advanced bionic limbs that are affordable and accessible for everyone. And so this is our latest product, the Ability Hand. And it's a bionic hand meant for people who have lost it, and they can control it just with their muscles. And so they can control all the individual fingers on it and do different grips with it too. And Dan will be able to demonstrate that.
I'm so impressed. I really am by this. So are you, is this a 3D printed with some circuitry added to sensors and that type of thing, or are you actually mass producing these now, or how does this work?
So it's actually a bit of both. So we have 3D printed components, but then we reinforce them with things like carbon fiber and silicone to make them super robust to impact and super light and strong.
Because each person has an individual need, right? So having that 3D printed piece allows you to do that, if I'm assuming correct. Okay. So you say affordable.
Yes.
So what does that mean? I have no idea. I'm thinking that something like what you are wearing right there would cost $100,000.
So it's definitely not $100,000. It's more in the range of $10,000 to $20,000.
Oh my goodness!
And not only that, so before our hand came along, only about 10% of individuals could actually afford a bionic hand, and that's if you're in the military or if you had a workplace accident. We got it covered by Medicare, and that expanded that access to 75% of patients can now afford a bionic hand. And so not only is it more advanced than any of the other bionic hands out there, it's more accessible than ever.
So I think we are going to do a demonstration.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right? All right.
Ready for this?
Yep.
We good? Yep. Yeah!
That's unbelievable. Are you producing other limbs as well?
So we've got some ideas for an ability leg in addition to our ability hand.
Okay, very cool. Are these available? I mean, if I knew somebody that needed one, would you be able to outfit that person?
So we just released this nationwide 3 months ago.
Okay.
And so it's covered by insurances all across the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool as well. So very, very nice. And how do we find out more information about your product?
So you can visit our website at www.psionic.io.
Why don't you spell that out?
So it's PSYONIC.io.
Okay, very good. At CES 2022, this is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson. One of the best things about being at CES is running into people who we've met before that have taken what they have created and made it better. And look who I ran into.
It's good to be back.
It's great to be back.
Yes,
so,
yes,
all right.
Yes.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, too. Yeah. So
unbelievable.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Yeah, so now we have this hand available nationwide, and we've started selling it globally. NASA and Meta have actually bought our hand and put them on humanoid robots as well. So it's just exploding like crazy. So we're really excited.
Yeah.
And so something that we didn't get to try to do with you last year was that I don't think you got a chance to try out the hand, did you?
I did not.
All right, so would you like to try out the hand?
Let's do it.
All right. So we've got this set up over here.
I have no idea what we're doing here.
And so I've got this this phone attached to it, right?
Okay.
And so what you're going to do is put your hand in the camera.
Okay.
And then whatever you do on the camera, the hand is actually going to mimic.
All right, so let's turn that towards the camera this way.
So let's do that.
So I'm going to go like this.
Yep.
And like this. And like this. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I guess I won't wave, right? Yeah. Hey. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so we actually just moved to San Diego in the last 6 months.
Okay.
We're working with the military hospital there on connecting these hands directly to your bones and your nerves. And so with your nerves, you'd actually be able to do this level of control directly just from your mind. Isn't that crazy?
I'm just stunned at how quick that is.
Right?
I mean, it's like it instantly maps your hand, right?
Yeah.
Maps every joint. That's absolutely incredible. You know what I want to do, right? No?
Yeah, thumbs up. That's right.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. And did you want to do another board breaking demonstration?
We'll have to do that. But I really want to know more about, where are you taking this technology? I mean, what is, you obviously are a visionary when it comes to this. So tell me what you're thinking for, what am I going to see next year? What are you working on right now?
So we've got some plans for an ability leg that you can do a triathlon in. So we started designs on that. And a lot of the tech that we're working on is related to those bone and nerve implants that I was telling you about, right? So directly integrating this hand. So here, let me pop this guy off so you can see it. So this is the hand, right? So instead of going on a socket that goes over your residual limb, you'd actually have a titanium implant that goes inside your bones and then connects directly to it. And then we would have the nerve implants actually come wire out through that. And so what's crazy is that not only would you be able to do this individual finger control, but when you touch the fingertips, you would actually stimulate your nerves to make it feel like it's coming from your actual hand that you don't have anymore. So this is the future tech that we're going to be seeing over the next 2-3 years.
That is just amazing to me, right? I mean, and so it's an artificial hand that you can control with your mind.
Exactly. And it's just going to get even more and more
impossible. Natural. It really does. I know you just think that this is everyday stuff, but for people who aren't around this all the time, it's it's hard to describe. And the ability that this gives people who have lost limbs or whatever due to whatever, military, illness, what have you.
Sure.
I mean, you're literally changing lives with this every day.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. It's really cool.
So another thing is that with the explosion in like humanoid robots and different like manufacturing robots, robotic surgery and all of that, what we found is that if you're building a robot to do human tasks, then we've optimized our hand for humans to do human tasks. So it makes sense that the robots get the same thing.
Sure.
So when Meta and NASA and Apptronic and Sanctuary AI, like all these humanoid robot companies and manufacturing companies are purchasing our hand, they're trying to do these human tasks with it, so it makes natural sense for them to use it as well. So the same hand that the humans are getting, the robots are getting as well.
Absolutely amazing. So all right. So we're going to wrap this one up here, but we're going to do another little demonstration. So last year when we did this, we had you break a board. Now I guess this year you guys are talking into holding the board.
Yeah.
That was
we can hold it.
But do you have any other wonderful stories to share with us? Since last year, with any experiences maybe with your arm, with your new arm.
I think one of the big things is my daughter now is old enough to realize what my hand is and what it does. So she's definitely been way more interested in it and, wanting me to always wear it and let's do this with the hand and just testing things out. So that's been really cool to see.
So do you get this request a lot to break boards and things?
Only when I'm with the deal.
Okay. I mean, you're at a party, right? You're with family and friends. They're like, "Go on, break the board."
You've been working out a lot with the hand, right?
Yes. Still working out a lot in the gym. Lifting weights. It's definitely been a game changer in that area.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. Are we ready to do this?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I will hand you the board.
Okay. So how do I hold this?
And then, just like that, you got it.
Or is it better like this?
Yeah, or go the other way.
Okay.
Yeah, the other way.
Okay. And do I just straight out like this?
Straight out. Keep your arms
locked up.
Locked up.
Yeah. Don't fall off the stage there. Okay.
I don't know. It's going to be so forceful that it's just going to blow me away.
Yeah.
I can back up a little bit. All right. Yeah.
There's a lot more trust in this than me falling backwards on somebody to catch me. Oh my goodness. I'm like, is he going to break my hands?
So is this the first time you ever held a board that someone
First time. Nice job.
It still works.
There we go. It does still work. Look at that. Thanks, guys. It's really been a pleasure having you back.
It's awesome to be back.
So thanks for letting me hold the board.
Thank you for trusting me.
I feel like we're bonded for life now.
That's right.
So yeah. Anything else you guys want to do or to wrap up to let us know anything new or?
Yeah. So we're actually in the middle of an equity crowdfunding round.
Yeah.
And so we're all about accessibility about the Psionic, right? Making the hand covered by Medicare so more patients than ever can have it. So we were like, why don't we make the company accessible too? And so we're on Start Engine, and so if you go to psionic.io/invest, you can actually invest in the company, and anyone can get involved with our bionic revolution.
Wow. Say the website again.
Psionic.io/invest.
And your website is at?
Psionic.io.
All right, very good. This is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson, coming to you from CES 2023.
Welcome back to the Tech Ranch. Let's get back to discovering the latest in technology with the Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
Jordan, our social media expert, joining us on the program now. And Jordan, you said you wanted to talk about threads, and I'm wearing a vest and a sweatshirt today. And what kind of threads do you have on?
Same thing. I'm wearing the exact same outfit as Steve. It's actually we're both embarrassed. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, we should have called each other this morning.
We usually do. That's the thing.
Threads, social media threads.
Yes.
And you said it might be coming back. And now this goes contrary to what we've talked about in the past. And usually with a platform, you get one chance to make a first impression. And Threads didn't make a very good first impression.
No, but it did make an impression, which I think really did help a lot. in the wake of everything that's happening with X, Twitter, at this exact moment. For example, now that they're, in direct competition, they're able to start rolling out features that X, Twitter already had, and make it seem like a fresh new thing. And I think that's an interesting take.
So is it more a case of Threads reinventing itself and getting a second chance? Because Marlo and I have talked about this. X has kind of fallen a little flat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they opened the door for Threads to make a comeback.
Exactly. And so with the introduction into the social media platform, Threads was, hey, we're here. Maybe it was premature, but the fact that we all know that it's there and it's connected to your Instagram account, so everybody signed up right away. So you're technically a user if you connect your Instagram to it without being able to delete your entire Instagram account.
And you can never go back.
You can never go back. That's true.
You're in. It's kind of like the Eagles song.
Yeah.
Hotel California.
Exactly.
You can check out, but you can never leave.
Never. But I think, so I think that's an interesting thing is that you are sort of forced to stay on this platform once you've signed up. So now that they've got like 100 million monthly users, which is that's pretty significant, but not as significant as something like 300 to 500 million with the most recent X numbers that have come out. So just to say, they are the comeback kid. They're rolling out these features like GIFs, polls, things that Twitter already had built into it. But like I said, now they get to be the new kid on the block because it's fresh and new and shiny, although it's already features we've had in other places before, right?
So what you're saying is there's hope for my MySpace account.
That I sure hope so. Yeah, I sure hope so.
Well, that's one of those. Okay. So here's an interesting question from a social media perspective.
Yeah.
You've got all these social media accounts that are out there, and whether somebody checks out of it or somebody passes away, it's still there.
Right.
It doesn't go away. How do they manage that? I mean, from a business perspective, that's got to be a nightmare. I mean, because the end game, right, is to have the entire population of the world on your social media account.
Right.
Okay, that number continues to grow. And I mean,
sure.
I'm thinking, holy crap, that's a big server. I mean, how do they manage that side of that?
That's a great question. I think it's just where Mark Zuckerberg lives. It's all in his mind as far as I'm concerned.
That makes a lot of sense. By the way, this is our new conspiracy theory because when you pop the Jiffy Pop popcorn, the aluminum foil dome is officially our tinfoil hat.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. That's fitting.
So, and I don't know if that would fit Mark Zuckerberg's head. I mean, we might have to get the bigger Jiffy Pop.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, he's currently plugged in. It's all USB-C, of course.
Right.
Very much.
He's just a mainframe at this point.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And he's constantly updating his software, becoming more human as the days
reboot, just hit him in the head.
Crawl on. Yeah, and I don't know about that. I don't know if he's actually a human person or a cyborg. Yeah, maybe.
He's a cyborg.
That's fine.
So going back to Threads.
Yeah.
And as far as some of the features that already exist on some of the other platforms.
Sure.
And now they've had a second opportunity to roll out some of those things.
Yes.
How's it being received?
Fairly well for the most part, especially because so many people are trying to leave X, and to have that next thing to cling on to and kind of put
now there are two different kinds of Klingon.
That's true.
Saying, throwing that out there. But yeah, anyway.
But yeah, now that they've got another platform to go and use that people are already signed up for, right? Because if you sign up, it's attached to your Instagram account, and that means your Hotel California in there, right? So I think it's an interesting move. So now that people are leaving X, they're going back to Threads, and it's kind of slowly building. Again, 100 million monthly users isn't nothing. And a lot of them are active, as a matter of fact. So it works well. So with these new features that they're rolling out, it seems like like I said, they're the new kid on the block almost, even though they showed up at a time where we thought perhaps it's a little premature. Now, it seems so shiny and new because X is going in a direction that is unpredictable at this point for any given moment.
So you mentioned new features or new old features.
Right.
new to them, old from other platforms, are there any new features that Threads is adding that, hey, this is shiny and new and the other platforms don't have this?
Not yet, but I think with the addition of polls and now that you can comment on things with GIFs and stuff, it kind of is it just goes to show that they're actually building these things in and taking their time now that they are already established in the social media sphere. So not as of right now, nothing revolutionary, nothing groundbreaking, but eventually, hopefully soon, we are going to see those things with, streaming live, because Facebook Live was such a thing. Instagram Live is such a thing. Eventually Threads is going to have that same platform, I imagine. And it's going to be interesting because then some of that exclusive premium content can be pushed onto Threads as opposed to getting pushed onto X or pushed onto Facebook, pushed onto YouTube. Now that you've got yet another place to put all of your thoughts and feelings and stuff like that, which is fantastic.
So you mentioned the 100 million daily users versus X with 300 million daily users. How many people typically have more than one account, though? Because the connectivity side of things, okay, I'm on Facebook and Instagram and what's the other one they own? Is it who owns Snapchat? I forget about that one.
I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, but the ability to integrate, post once and integrate it across multiple platforms, very appealing to a lot of people. When you're talking about Threads and X, for example,
sure.
How many people have multiple accounts, though? So if I'm a user on X, am I a user on Threads as well? Or do people tend to be pretty separated from the exposure side of things? Are they loyal to one platform or another, or do they have, out of that 100 million versus 300 million, does 150 million people have accounts on both platforms?
I would guess so. I would say it's probably a pretty even split. It just makes sense to have cross-platform connection just so you can constantly be giving content out into the world. Whether your opinion is good or not doesn't matter. I would say that, yeah, there is probably a really, really generous cross-pollination between the two.
We start talking about the definition of content.
Yeah.
And nowadays, that's extremely subjective.
This right now, this is content, Steve.
Well, yeah, but we're doing this on a terrestrial platform and then it gets podcast. It's content. It is. And that's what AM radio and talk radio is. But from a social media perspective, it's like, hey, this is what I made for dinner tonight. That's content too.
Oh, yeah.
Now you start talking about the quality and what's actually useful content. And I don't know. Sometimes I think we tend to get a little inundated with what we define as content.
And that's a wrap on another fantastic episode of the Tech Ranch. Remember, if you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology.